A Wonder podcast about films.
Well, this is definitely a film.
Quite. So, remind me why you like it?
Well, I could ask you the same question.
What? I don't like it.
Well, why do you like Conclave?
Eh? How's that relevant?
Simon, it's midnight.
Fair enough. Play the tape. Hello and welcome to Movie the Needle, a podcast where a pair of amateurs haphazardly dissect a film that one of us likes and one, well, not so much. My name's Simon, and I'm in our shed with my good friend Carl, where we'll be explaining our opposing viewpoints and seeing whether we can movie the needle for one another. This week, it's the Ron Howard-directed 2006 globetrotting adventure mystery, which sees Tom Hanks' professor of symbology follow clues inside Da Vinci paintings to the discovery of a religious mystery protected by a secret society, which could shake the foundations of Christianity. Flashbacks and self-flagellation ensue. It's the Da Vinci Code.
Got shat on today.
Literally or figuratively?
Yeah, literally. Not like in a sex club or anything. It was a bird. Not that sort of bird. A bird with wings.
Sure.
And, shit on my head. Did not enjoy.
They say it's good luck.
Yeah, they say that, don't they?
I'm not sure who says it's good luck.
Yeah, where's that come
from? Not the person
from?
who's got shat on, probably.
Yeah, where's that come from?
Yeah.
Well, maybe that'll come in, so we'll keep something to keep an eye on.
So is this in the hair? Is this?
Yeah, it's just right on top.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
And where were you? Were you near a place where you could?
I was walking to Asda to pick something up.
Mm.
So I had to then dash into the toilets in Asda as soon as I got in there.
And you didn't get shat on there?
I just did get shouted at. I promise it was on the way. I promise it was a bird. Not that sort. And, not pleasant. And then this evening, the youngest has thrown up all over the sofa.
Oh, no.
And then the eldest is also a bit unwell and then blocked the fucking toilet. So when it's unblocked now.
Good.
So when you said, text me earlier and said I'm going to be later, I was elbow deep in shit at that point.
Nice.
So, yeah, it was just as well.
Yeah. Oh, there's a metaphor for.
So it's been an evening.
Hmm. Well, I'd like to say it's going to improve, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, we both brought nuts today.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, there you go.
We're
It's already
synchronised.
things are already looking up.
Yeah.
We've synchronised our cycles.
Yeah, exactly.
Our nut bringing cycles.
It's the equivalent, right? It's our nut cycle. So yeah, just when you didn't think this could get any more unhealthy, we've got beer, we've got sleep deprivation, and now we have salty, fatty foods. So there we go.
Fibre though.
I don't struggle with the fibre, Carl. That's not an issue.
Well, no, but I mean, just a bit of extra. It's not going to hurt, is it?
that definitely doesn't hurt. Straight. Anyway.
Although, surely if it gets too big, no, it doesn't hurt you, does it? No, never mind. Right, carry on.
We are entering the world this week, Carl, of blind rankings.
Oh yes, you've been teasing this.
Yeah. So I mean, it was funny because I said to Carl, have you ever heard of blind rankings? And this was over a message.
Yeah, so have you heard of the internet?
Yes. Because I'm not on the TikTok.
Yeah.
So
like a little granda going, have you ever heard of these things called blind rankings, young whippersnapper?
So I'd come across it on another podcast. I was like, well, this seems fun.
That's good. Yeah.
So, we'll see because I'm not that familiar with them. I could screw it up. So
if it's not submarine films, I'll be disappointed.
Well, it's not because it's related to this film.
It doesn't. It's irrelevant, really.
Oh no, I like to.
All right. Okay. Well, we need to do a submarine film then.
Well, we can do that just randomly, and we can just TikTok it.
That was the idea you teased me with, and I'm salivating for blind ranking submarine films.
I bet. So last night, Carl gave you a call on the way back from town to say, you fancy a drink in the new pub that's just opened up, bar, whatever you want to call it. Only to find out when I got there that it wasn't open on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Probably for the best.
I had to about turn.
You did. You got out the door. It's like that Simpsons thing. Put your hat back.
Yeah.
So it was probably for the best. So I'd phoned Emma to say, I was just popping in for a swift half on the way home. She said, who are you meeting? I said, Carl. She said, so you're never coming home then?
It's a fair cop.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't argue. Yeah. But I was on my way back from a Turkish meal out.
Oh, nice.
With former work colleagues, one of which is loyal listener Kirsty, KJ.
Oh yeah, lovely.
You'll know. Who was the person on the horse who'd been on Twitter. But she was saying that she leaned more Carl in her opinions.
Ah.
I tried to hide the hurt well. I think
maybe we'll get into why a little bit today, actually.
Maybe.
So I've got some thoughts.
Okay.
She
also said,
but then again, maybe not. Maybe it's just pure coincidence.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah. What was the one we were saying? I was saying that I was saying we were doing Gone Girl was coming out soon. She was like, "Oh, I like that." I was like, "Well,
oh, well, there you go. It'd be a massive disappointment to her."
Yeah. But she also said, I mean, some of the gaps that you guys have in your film watching, like, I kind of think, like, how are they doing a podcast about film? It's like any cunt can do a podcast about film stuff. You don't need to have a knowledge. We've proved this. We've been doing it for a year.
Podcast equipment should be way more expensive.
Yes, definitely.
It's far too accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should have to pass a test. It should be like a license thing.
It should. I mean, listen. I'm getting heat from all directions now because from you, I get you've watched all these obscure films I've never heard of. KJ's now giving it. How have you not seen? Which I infer to mean the films everybody should have seen, the classics.
The classics, yeah.
Honestly. Anyway, there you go. You can't win them all, can you?
No, I mean, you're pleased that minority that said, like, you haven't seen Booze Cruise 3?
I wouldn't say that. Nobody should see Booze Cruise 3. Booze Cruise 1, worth a watch.
He watched it, so you don't have to.
Yeah.
Anything else been going on? I mean, it's only been a couple of days since we last recorded.
Yeah. So a couple of things we didn't get quite a chance to talk about on the Gone Girl episode.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, this goes back to an episode before that as well. Whenever it was, I mentioned Wild Robot.
Yes.
As I said at the time, kids loved it. My eldest in particular. But she did disgrace herself.
Go on.
Because there was a point when there was a joke, some sort of gag, and she laughed out loud, absolutely fine, and then started applauding.
She applauded.
Yeah.
She was in her own home. You know, there's...
Look, so we've got to instill these...
ground rules.
These rules, these habits. So...
Was it? So would it have been, like... Nothing is obviously worthy of applause, but was it good enough to at least be like?
Well, I don't know if nothing's worthy of applause. It's just, control yourself, decorum. There are other people around. You keep it to yourself, almost.
Yes, we're British, darling.
Yeah. But it would have been way too over the top, and had that been in the cinema, I can only imagine we'd have been thrown out. Well, we should have been, anyway.
You would have thrown her out.
Yeah.
Wait in the car.
Yeah, wait outside. Are you not coming? No, I'm watching a bloody film.
I know how to behave.
Yeah, well, exactly. A couple of other notes from the pod folder. April O'Neil.
Yes, intrigued about this. And
this was on the back of us discussing...
As I said, question mark, it was just like, reporter? Turtle fucker? Yes, that one?
Yeah. This was on the back of your fantasies about Miriam Margolyes.
Sure.
Yeah, so after we discussed
Bunny, yes.
her voice in the Cadbury's Bunny,
yes,
I came across April O'Neil, not like that. And I wondered if you've ever come across April O'Neil in like the same sort of way. Not actually like that.
No.
In the same sort of way.
What, the Turtles animation?
Yeah, the animation one. Yeah,
no.
Yeah. No? Because I think I had a bit of a hots for her.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. And who does the voice?
I don't know who does the voice, actually.
Oh, right. I thought that's where it was.
No. It was just being attracted to cartoon characters.
Oh, right. No, not unless they're furry animals. I'm not interested.
Yeah. Right, okay. Yeah. What is it? The Tails?
I was so disappointed by Jessica Rabbit. I was like, it's a human cartoon.
Yeah.
This is not what it said on the tin.
Oh dear. Yeah. Very good.
Anything else in the pod folder you want to get through?
Just to say that it's pretty likely Christopher Nolan won't be the next Bond director, because Amazon have appointed some producers to
David
oversee.
Heyman. I can't remember her name.
No, I can't remember either. But they've appointed some producers to oversee the creative direction, which suggests to me that rules Nolan out, because he obviously
more a
produces.
director for hire.
He obviously produces his own films. So Yeah.
So sad face.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure he'd have made a good Bond film. He would have made a good film. He would have made a Bond film that I definitely want to see. But I don't know if he'd have made one that really would have sat well in the canon. So
I mean, on the plus side, Harris Dickinson's signed up for 4 Beatles movies with Sam Mendes, so that might make him too busy to.
I saw
to
that,
be
and on
Bond.
the plus side, it's ruled Barry Keoghan out as well, hasn't it?
I mean, how he couldn't possibly have been up for Bond.
Oh God, he's been in way too many things that you go, well, why is he in that already? So who knows? It's a shame we couldn't get Austin Butler in there as well, just to.
Is Austin Butler British?
No,
No, they won't do it.
he's from
I think
Austin.
they'll stick British, right?
Is he from Austin, or have I just mixed that up because
His name's Austin.
I feel like he's from Texas.
I
Though.
I don't know. That would be funny though. If there's probably some other examples out there.
I saw that Paul Mescal, of course, as well.
Yeah, I don't think he was down to be Bond.
No, he wasn't. I'm just
Although
the Beatles thing.
He's only 29, but still
He just looks older, doesn't he, Paul Mescal?
play anything. Him. You just googling where Austin. Butler's
Oh, he's from California, so literally just because his name is Austin. Oh, it must be
Yeah.
from Austin, Texas.
I'm trying to think of another example that you would think that someone is from there just because their name is him, and I'm struggling.
Joaquin Phoenix, maybe.
Oh, it's from Phoenix,
He must be
Arizona.
from Phoenix, yeah. Huh? Yeah, with that, no.
That'll do. Have you watched any movies since we last recorded, which was
No.
2 days? No.
Only
I watched
this
this one. Yeah.
only this one.
Yeah. And I watched a bit of this one twice again because Emma was on catch up again. So she's still.
What's she doing? Falling asleep halfway through? Or...
Well, she just gives up. She goes like, nope, bedtime. See you later.
Yeah.
Tell me what time. How far through are we? Great. I'll watch it. I'll watch it later
Okay.
when you're doing your other stuff.
How's Emma getting along with it?
She fell asleep.
Is that because of the film, or just?
I mean, it's not because of the film. We'll get to that.
Is she? Has she seen it before? Was that her first time watch?
No, she would have seen it before. Yeah. But yeah, there we go. So no movies to talk about.
No,
Oh,
no
crap.
movies.
Anything that you plan to watch in the? Have you got a long plane ride coming
No.
up with any?
So I am going on holiday next week. Unfortunately, it is a budget airline, which means no in-flight entertainment.
Oh, tablet?
No, I don't have a tablet.
Laptop?
No, I'm not taking it. So
Sleep?
I'll probably sleep. I'm good at sleep on planes, so I'll probably have a couple of bits to get sleep. I'm more thinking about what am I going to do while I'm there. So I can steal one of the girls' tablets, but that will only leave us with Netflix.
I mean, I can send you a few Netflix films that you should watch.
Well, and even then, because of the country we're in, I'm not sure it's going to work.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Can you download? Not on the version
Yeah,
you've got.
I could download some films. Yeah, but the problem with that is we've told the girls they need to download loads of shit, and then I'll be like, yeah, actually, do you know what? No, you have to share. They've got a Kindle each. You have to share because I'm going to fill this one up with films. So I might not get to watch some films for the next 2 weeks, which I'm a bit.
That's going to take a hit to your average.
Yeah, certainly is. Certainly is.
I mean, you'll still be about 100 films ahead of me by the time you come back. So,
Yeah, probably.
but there you go. Any apologies, corrections, legal or
A
otherwise?
couple of corrections. Dance show prices.
Oh, did you overestimate?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I didn't pay for them. The missus did.
yeah. Just dragged along, kicking and screaming.
Yeah, and I was throwing out that they're more than 40 quid or whatever. Turns out they were £19 each.
Oh, well, I said 25, so they're even cheaper than what I estimated. So.
Yeah. So just in case the dance school hears that and decides to sue for defamation, I know they were £19. I'm very sorry. It was definitely worth every single penny.
Thank you.
Because my daughters were great. Did not care for the rest of the kids. There we go. American Beauty episode.
Yeah.
I called Shooter McGavin. Not Shooter McGavin. I recast him as Shooter McGavin. The King, Buddy, was it?
Wait, what are you talking about?
American Beauty. You know the
King.
film.
Yes. Yeah.
Is his name Buddy?
But you're sure? Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I said that he was the protagonist. I just misspoke. But it really bothered me. I know he's not the protagonist. He's a minor antagonist.
Sure. There we go.
Um,
He's also not called the protagonist. He's actually got a name, which is nice. I like that.
yeah, you do like that.
Yeah,
You do like that. Yeah.
It makes it nice,
But you wouldn't call him the protagonist because he's not the protagonist.
No, that'd be
It'd be
ridiculous.
weird if he
Just
came
being
on
called
and
the protagonist. That'd be crazy.
It'd be weird though if he just came up and said, "This is minor antagonist."
I'm the minor antagonist.
Yeah. How do you like that? Like, she's been shagging that minor antagonist. Anyway, and then the Gone Girl episode. Apology to you, not for what you think. But you made a joke about me working the sperm in. I completely missed it. So
I don't remember. It sounds like something I would have made a joke about.
So I get the apology out there now before I get another bollocking via Instagram for missing your jokes.
Johnny's there like, come on, man.
Yeah. No, it was a solid joke. I've completely ignored it. So
you
sorry.
Just need to listen more, and then you might learn something.
Yeah, true enough. Can't argue with it.
Good stuff, Carl. So, it's time to unveil the ale.
Yeah. Can't remember. It's
a surprise for both of us.
Yeah, because I got this before the last pod. So I was like, oh, that'll work, but I can't remember what it is. So.
Oh, let's see. Oh, drum roll. Insert drum roll music. Oh dear. Okay, he's disappointed with himself.
No, it's good.
Oh, it's good. Oh, okay, good. So the film is
The Da Vinci Code.
The Da Vinci Code. Okay, right. So we got anything Da Vinci related?
There's a perfect brewery for this.
Okay.
That was sort of an invitation for you to guess what the brewery might be.
Well, I'm struggling. What's a really boring brewery?
Steady now. Keep your powder dry.
Da Vinci Code. Something Italian. No, French. No, where's he from? I don't know.
For God's sake. Da Vinci's Italian.
Yes.
Much
Italian.
of the film takes place in France.
Yes. So French beer?
No. It's from Northern Monk.
Okay. Oh, Northern Monk. Yeah.
I
like
you see, this is just your attitude all over because I said that, and your first reaction, nobody at home can see this. The look on your face was of absolute filth. Like, how the fuck does that relate to this film? Oh, no, wait. Yeah, it relates perfectly to this film because one of the main antagonists is a monk.
Yeah,
right?
Not Northern, though.
Well,
it would have been quite funny if he was.
In terms of European, he is. He's Northern European. So this is Even More Faith, which is a double hazy IPA coming in at 8%.
Oh, I mean, that's it in all the right spots. It's bang on that, Carl. Well done, you.
Well, you haven't tasted it yet.
I mean, I might have. But, I mean, a double hazy IPA is right up my alley.
Yes.
You're going to hate it.
Well, some of them are okay.
Yeah. Right. Cheers. Okay, let's introduce the film, which is, of course, The Da Vinci Code. Not Angels and Demons, which every time someone says, oh, what are you doing soon? And I say, no, the other one.
There's 3, technically.
There is, and a TV show of one of the other ones. The Lost Symbol, which they obviously just gave up with making films about, or it was too long after the... it's a younger Robert Langdon, so that's why they didn't do it. Anyway, Da Vinci Code. So anyway, before we get to that, simple 5-point scale.
Now, we were just joking in the break about our listenership.
Not joking.
Well, yes. Now, should we ever actually get to the point where we have a listenership that is worthy of creating merchandise for, I would love to have a T-shirt that just says simple 5-point scale on it, and then underneath, full XYZ scattergraph, all sorts of shit coming off it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a simple 5-point scale in one dimension.
Yeah,
that's true. Also, I quite fancy just getting merch just for myself to wear.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Yeah,
I looked into just getting stickers, right? But you have to get like 1,000 stickers. It's like, I just want one.
Yeah,
I just want to put a sticker
put it on your
my
laptop or something. Yeah,
that's it. It's like, no, you must get thousands because this is why you get stickers.
Well, technically, you already have some merch.
I do. I've got a notepad.
Yeah. You've got a Movie the Needle notepad.
An original.
Yeah, it's the first edition.
I'm getting through it as well, to be fair. So.
Oh, you'll need a second one soon. Yeah. So next time, instead of creating just one, we'll create like 10. See if we can flog them.
How much are we paying them to take them? Anyway, a simple 5-point scale. You either really like it, you like it, you're ambivalent, you don't like it, or you really don't like it. Carl, where are you on this simple
I
Different scale.
like this film.
You like it. Well, I don't like this film. So, Carl, I'm really interested to know why you like this film. Because it just like I'm struggling. I saw an angle and I was just like, oh, this is could maybe why he likes it. Yeah, because that's kind of on form. Yeah, I get it. But then it's not that. So go for it. Educate me.
Well, this is definitely a film. It's got actors in it.
Wow.
They're delivering performances. There's a soundtrack to add sound, cinematography to make sure we can see everything. I think this is one of the movies of all time.
Wow.
Look, I'm sure we'll have a laugh at some things in this film as we get on. I'm quite interested in the comparison to Conclave right now. I've already tipped my hand in previous episode about this because I didn't like Conclave. It was okay. I thought it rather soiled itself because it turned into a Dan Brown affair.
Yeah.
Whereas you really liked Conclave and called out that it turned into a Dan Brown affair.
Yeah. And that's actually, that is on brand with what I'm going to be saying today as well.
Yeah, so I'm interested about that. So I think this will be a fun chat because I think it does speak to some of the differences between us and how we get along with films, shall I say?
Yes. So the reason I don't like it, right, is look, I've read the book. I enjoyed it for what it is, right? It's an enjoyable holiday reading popcorn nonsense thing, but it's a proper page turner, right? The question going into this for me was, and particularly on rewatch, was are they able to recreate this in the format of a film? So sort of treasure trail adventure, you know, where he's just, he rushes through 2.5 hours. You got Ron Howard directing. He's got a history of being entertaining enough. He's got a decent catalogue. It's got Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is great, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then how did they manage to make a film that's so boring and devoid of any drama throughout? I mean, it's almost impressive.
All right. Before we move on, because I think this is not like an opening statement from me or anything like that, but I don't want to wait until the production to say this. Can we just dispense with any or address any snobbery towards the books now?
Oh, yeah. I'm not a snob towards the books.
No, but like people are. That's an opinion that's out there. I like the books too. They're not like fantastic literary works, of course they're not. But I think what you've just described them as is quite a nice thing. They're like a popcorn film.
Yeah.
In terms of reading the page turners. I heard someone describe them as airport prose, which I quite liked.
Sure. Yeah.
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 So we can acknowledge that yes, they're not amazing. Stuart Lee's got quite a funny bit about how fucking dumb Dan Brown's prose is, which is quite funny. But we don't need to keep apologising for having read and enjoyed the books.
No, definitely not. No, I enjoy a lot of not great books, but
of course, and we do that with films as well.
Fun stories.
Yeah, we do that with films all the time. So let's just get that on record, because I think at times we might both do a bit of trashing some of the stuff that's going on here.
But you like this film?
I do like this film. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right, just checking.
All right.
Okay, let's dive straight into the cast to start with. And it's obviously led off by Thomas J. Hanks, which is actually his initial, as we discovered in a previous episode. Plays Robert Langdon. Now, I like Tom Hanks. Right? How can you not like Tom Hanks?
Yeah.
Some people don't like Tom Hanks. But I like Tom Hanks. I like Tom Hanks in Ron Howard directed movies. And by movies, I mean movie, and I mean Apollo 13. He is, in this, though, so weirdly restrained. He doesn't have any of his usual sort of everyman charm that comes out. It's almost like it's a weirdly cold performance, I found, which leads to me to not really care about his character, and being the protagonist is a problem.
I don't know if I agree. I know completely where you're coming from. I don't know if I would describe him as cold. I don't think he's awful either, just as a precursor to what I'm about to say. But he is miscast.
I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, and the thing is, the way he's then trying to play this, because he is not like the character in the book, Tom Hanks.
It's been a while since I actually read the books, so
Yeah, we can talk
I know
about that a bit more in
it's kind of sold
recasting.
as like Indiana Jones of symbology kind of thing.
Yeah, well, yeah. So book smart, but also Indiana Jones. Yeah, so he's not like the character in the book, and he's sort of trying to give a spin on that doesn't quite work. And I think he's almost trying to play it too suave, which is why I don't really agree with the cold thing. Too soft. I think he's too soft, and the hair.
I was going to say, can we talk about the hair?
And the sort of the suit with the black shirt thing again? I come back to this. It's a weird vibe he's going for, and it doesn't match up with the book. So like, I don't think he's straight up awful. He's not, it's far from his best role, but he is miscast, and it is a bit of an odd vibe for this film.
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to the recasting of this. Question though for you: we've talked about movie stars in the past. Obviously, we said Tom Cruise, one of the last sort of movie stars.
I'm really pleased you said this, because when I was looking at his filmography, that guy's a star.
Yeah, it's Tom Hanks' films, right?
That guy is a star. He's got a fantastic filmography. Oh, obviously he's got the turkeys in there as well. But he's got such a diverse and long and successful filmography. That guy's a star.
Yeah, he's definitely on the short list of movie stars. Still,
you watch a film
acting.
and then someone says, "Oh, if a film's you hear of a film and someone says, "Oh, Tom Hanks in that." Your interest is piqued. Yeah,
yeah, that's what happened with Here, and didn't end well.
Is that the Bob Zemeckis one?
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on to the female lead, Audrey Tautou, Sophie Neveu, or something. Now, she's in Amelie. Have you seen Amelie?
I haven't.
Of course you haven't. Such a wonderful film.
Hang on. Of course I haven't. Why is that?
I don't know, just popular and
right.
Yeah, yeah, one of those. So Amelie, such a wonderful film, and a performance from Audrey Tautou there, built on such charm and character. Oh, just makes you feel all warm and brilliant, and you don't really get that here. Again, right? Just as you said, she's not bad.
No,
she's not bad. I think maybe just
she's miscast again.
Yeah,
she's miscast again. So Sophie in the book calls for a really quite assertive.
And a bit older, I would say, as well.
She's quite young in the book.
Is she?
Yeah, but it calls for quite an assertive, not quite fierce, but, intense sort of character. And I haven't seen Amelie, but, I'm aware of what it is. And that's a much more sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It's like a softer role, right?
It's quite whimsical.
Yeah. Whimsical, great. Yeah, exactly. And that's not what's needed here. And she comes across in this as too quiet, too soft. I didn't love her. She's also not sad enough at points. Her grandfather's supposed to have died, and you sort of could be forgiven for not realising that at points in the film.
Yeah.
And I think it comes back to the miscasting, like with Hanks. He's like stuck in, I'm not that guy, so I'll give this approach on that guy, or this interpretation of that guy, and you don't feel the stuff you're supposed to, because I don't know if he's too wrapped up in that, and he's trying to hold himself back because of that. I don't know.
Yeah, and
I feel the same with her. She's not terrible, but I didn't love her. It's just not quite right.
And I also felt that she didn't come across, and this is less of her performance and more just of the character, as very proficient, because she's obviously like a semi kind of expert in a particular field, right? She's meant to sort of know her shit to a degree and be able to be, she's been trained.
Yeah, she's the
trained to be
cryptography expert.
But she's basically the person who goes, I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Can you please explain now for the audience and me what's going on? Thanks.
Yeah.
I have added a couple of her films to my watch list, though, because I was looking and I was like, "Ooh, these sound good." I heard of one of them, a very long engagement, which I've heard of but not seen. It sounds very English Patient-esque, so I think I might like it. So I added that to the list, and also one called Priceless. It's in French, so it's not actually called Priceless, but that again looks like a little fun little jaunt.
Sans prise.
Yeah, probably something like that. Yeah, to be fair. Yeah. Both are decent, but who knows when I'll actually get to them. I added about 10 films to my watch list yesterday as the process of writing these notes, and I was like, oh, God, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But, you're away for a couple of weeks, so I should just crack through some stuff. All right, moving on to Jean Reno
Mm.
as Captain Bezoufache. Or Fauche? Fache. No, it's Fache.
They say fash, but you look at it, you see.
It's Fauche, right?
Yeah, fush.
Like gauche.
And
Tournez
especially
à gauche.
Yeah.
Tournez à fauche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know. I think this is a good bit of casting. I think a Jean Reno type character, especially a latter years Jean Reno, is pretty much exactly how I imagined Bezoufache when I read the book.
Apparently, he was in mind when he wrote the book.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I think you're right. I think he is cast. I think he's underused. And I think a lot of that might be
Agreed.
obviously come from the text that maybe he does disappear at these points and so you don't see him. But that's the thing with a movie. You can change it a little bit and you can give the good movie star a bit more to do. He does disappear a little bit because they kind of set him up, you know, whilst not as like the big bad, but he's like an adversary of some description right from the get-go. But they do sort of forget about him for over half the film. And then he has a little turnaround, but she hasn't really been earned in any way. So, yeah.
Yeah, like you say, he's maybe not in it enough for
bit
that.
challenging. Yeah. But yeah, he could have been, you know, a man in pursuit and trying to outsmart them on every turn and having a bit more interaction and stuff. But then you get these sort of secondary and tertiary characters coming in, which, would have been better just putting Jean Reno more. Thanks. But yeah, maybe they were a bit scared to change the book too much. And I'll say again, I have not read this book for a long time, so I could not tell you which bits they included, excluded, changed, or anything like that. So they could have changed it a lot. Anything on Jean Reno?
No, just that, like you said, I thought it was very well cast. I thought it was very good. And I too would have liked more of it.
More Jean Reno. How about Ian McKellen as Sir Lee Teabing?
Yeah, so he's a bit more over the top compared to the book character, but I did think he was, I did think he was pretty fun. And I show my hand, all the best scenes in this movie involve him. So I thought it was very good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like seeing McKellen. You know, Gandalf, Magneto, other stuff you've not seen. The little run in Coronation Street he did. Oh, what's not
Did
to
you do
like?
that?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Quite like
Right.
when
Why
he
have you seen that?
I've not.
Okay.
I just know it exists. I did used to watch Coronation Street, but many years ago.
Yeah, but how long are we talking here?
Oh, like when I was still at home living with my parents.
Oh yeah, that's acceptable. Yeah.
But he did it like after that point. But anyway, he's such a huge thesp, right? He needs to be in the right role, or he'll begins to not really fit in a film. And I think for large portions of this, he does fit in the film, and I think it works quite nicely. And was, as you said there, some of the best scenes are with him in, and that kind of interaction between him and Robert Langdon are some of the better bits. Cast him perfectly as that sort of extravagant, flamboyant expert. But then I think it gets away from him a little bit as he kind of turns into a bit of a panto villain thing, and when he starts shouting and things like that, it starts to sound a little bit ridiculous.
He is a slightly more overblown interpretation than the book.
When did you last read the book? I'm surprised you can remember so much.
The Da Vinci Code, probably not that long after it came out.
Yeah.
And then that triggered me to read
Angels
and Demons, and then I went and read his other two that he had out, Digital Fortress and Deception Point, which are not Robert Langdon novels.
Oh, yeah, I think I've read those as well.
They were quite fun, as I remember.
Yeah. And then they came out the fiery one.
Then he does Inferno.
And
then The Lost Symbol.
I don't think I've seen The Lost Symbol. I think I gave up after that point. I don't think I'd
seen or read?
Read.
Yeah.
I
So
don't think I've read.
Inferno.
That's in Washington, I think, so I probably should read that.
Maybe we'll talk about this some more in plot, but Inferno's kind of like, Lost Symbol is kind of like, but they've all got such a similar flavour. It's weird. It's like, if you read one, you sort of remember everything else about the previous ones. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I haven't read the Da Vinci Code in a long time, but I would have read The Lost Symbol in...
Because that's his
2018?
most recent of the Langdon ones.
Yeah, 2018, so not that long ago.
Yeah. Fair enough. Paul Bettany is in this as Silas.
Yeah, I like Paul
The
Bettany.
albino monk. I like Paul Bettany. One of the best things in A Beautiful Mind. One of the few decent things in here. Also good in Margin Call, A Knight's Tale, which I'd forgotten he was even in until I looked and I was like, oh yeah, he's great in that.
Again, I think pretty excellent cast in here because he looks weird, but also, pretty intense.
Yeah, he can do intense. He plays the kinky S&M albino monk pretty well.
Yeah.
To be fair, apart from the accent being a little bit all over the place, is he meant to be Spanish, do we think?
No, so what it is he, in the book, the character is Spanish, but has spent obviously a lot of time in Italy and France.
Oh, so maybe his accent is intentionally a bit all over the place.
Yeah, so
okay, fair enough.
Obviously it moves. I think in the book, I think he speaks more almost exclusively French. He speaks more English in the film. But I think, the accent is supposed to be a bit of a hodgepodge, I think.
But he pulls off being threatening, unhinged, religious psycho,
Yeah,
that sort
I
of
think
thing.
he's decent.
Yeah, definitely. And then the last one I've got is Alfred Molina as Bishop Manuel Aringarosa.
Mm-hmm.
I like Alfred Molina. Doc Ock in Spider-Man movies. Lots of other things probably. Struggle to actually think of them.
Yeah, I don't know what I've seen him in, but it's one of those faces where he pops up and you go, oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah, I think he has a lot of supporting parts, right, where he's not carrying the film. Again, his accent was very odd. That he was like, it was almost like he wasn't doing an accent. He was just kind of just doing his normal British thing, but there was just a hint of it occasionally, and it didn't really make sense.
I don't know where he's from. Where's he from?
And a bit London, but probably a posh bit of London. I might be overselling that.
Italian born, yeah. His dad's Italian. His mum's Spanish. He's born in London.
Yeah. Again, I think he's let down by the character in this. Bit of a pointless middleman, built up a little bit, gets shot like an absolute bitch, and it disappears.
It's funny, when I say stuff like that, you go, "We're appraising the performance, remember, not the film."
I know. We are. That's right. I should save that criticism for later.
Yeah,
I'll just repeat it like
yeah. Well, yeah, fair enough. You'll get your chance. I think he's a pretty good bastard. I think Aringarosa is required to be a bastard, and I bought him as that.
Cool. Anyone else that you've called?
Yeah. So Jürgen Prochnow, who played Andre Vernet, so the banker that.
Oh right, yeah, the driver that
drove them away, helped them escape, and then double crossed them for money.
Do you know him from other things?
You know him from other. Everybody knows Jürgen Prochnow from other things because surely everybody has seen Das Boot.
Oh yeah,
he's the captain on Das Boot.
Didn't make that connection.
Well, no, because he looks very different. I mean, these performances are like 40 years. No, is it that old?
No, not. It can't be that old.
When's Das Boot? Is that the 80s then?
I want to say 80s, early 90s, but
no, it's not early 90s. Das Boot.
No,
1981.
1981. That's what I said.
So 30 years. 25 years, I suppose, apart.
Did you think he was good in this?
Yeah, I thought he was fine. Mostly just wanted to call him out because he was in Das Boot.
Das Boot.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And that's a submarine film, so...
It's a submarine film, yeah. Of course.
Fan.
I've still never seen the full 4.5 hours of that.
Yeah, I did not watch that version when I watched it.
Well, no, that's not true. I have seen the full 4.5 hours of that because that's what my dad showed me when I was
but you've not rated.
6 years old or whatever.
Right.
But as an adult, I've only seen the sort of the 2 hours plus version, whatever it is.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Recasting, Carl.
No,
this is an interesting one.
I've got a couple more, mate. I've got a couple more.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you've got Etienne Chico, who plays Lieutenant Collett. Bezu Fash's sidekick, basically.
All right.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty decent as the sort of disgruntled French cop.
Yeah, he was kind of protecting him a little bit as well, right?
Yeah. And then you've got Jean Yves Berthelot.
Sure,
no, that's the character. That's the character name. Actually.
Oh, okay. I'm sure that's how it's pronounced.
Oh no, that is the actor's name. Yeah, that's definitely not how it's pronounced. Remy Jean, is that the?
Oh, the butler.
The butler, yeah.
Yes.
Teabing's butler. I thought he was pretty fun as well. He has a couple of nice scenes with Teabing, where they sort of have a bit of banter backwards and forwards. I could run them over. Or whatever. Very, very good. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, there you go. Right, recasting.
Recasting, yeah. Let's start at the top with the Langdon. I've got a few options. So just so you know, others considered at the time. So apparently, first choice of Ron Howard was Bill Paxton.
Wow, that wouldn't have worked.
No. And then obviously, coming off of A Beautiful Mind, Russell Crowe.
No shit.
I actually think Russell Crowe could have worked.
He's top of my list.
Ah, there you go. Yeah, I think he's got what it takes to kind of be one, bring a little bit more physicality to it as well, which I think is what it needs. And you could, he's done A Beautiful Mind. You bought him as like a genius kind of intelligent person. I think he can get that kind of combination. I mean,
but he also wasn't an action hero in A Beautiful Mind, though. So, like, can you put both of those on at once? And that leads me on to the problem with Robert Langdon. When you think of the books, Langdon is actually quite an absurd character because he's a reserved, bookish professor who apparently is also capable of being an action hero.
Yeah, it's Indiana Jones.
I don't think Indiana Jones comes across as bookish and reserved as.
Right.
I know
he takes his glasses
I
off
know
and
he
puts a
wears
hat
the
on.
glasses. Yeah, I know he wears the glasses in the classroom scenes. But those scenes very much like you've asked Indiana Jones to put on some glasses, and he looks exceptionally uncomfortable in them until he can take them off, and then you go, "Oh, there he is."
Silas, fetch my whip.
I mean, we don't. Maybe you need to think about this in the same way you think about Indiana Jones. Is don't take it that seriously, because if we examine Indiana Jones, my God, there's plenty of stupid stuff in there that we can point out. And
that's not even my problem with this film.
Harrison Ford as a bookish professor would be one of them, I would wager. So Dan Brown's characters, right? Langdon, absurd character, bookish professor, apparently an action hero. He wears a Mickey Mouse watch because despite being so reserved and bookish, he's also just a kid at heart. It's very difficult to hit all of those. Really, those books, what they need Langdon to be fully reserved college professor, and then he needs like an action sidekick to drag him through a story. This isn't a book podcast, it's a movie podcast, so as is Robert Langdon, Russell Crowe was top of my list because I thought, well, I don't know if he can go fully bookish. I know he did Beautiful Mind, but he's not then doing the action hero thing at the same time. I think it's a weird mix.
Yeah. I think he could.
Yeah.
You believe him that he could get into these occasional scrapes and come out on top.
Yeah, definitely. I've got other ones where you sort of go, they're kind of like action heroes, but they're a bit on the grumpier, more dour side. So like your Liam Neesons, your Viggo Mortensons, your Clive Owens, right? So can I see them delivering a college lecture? Yeah, I think probably for most of them. Clive Owen, I definitely can't. Viggo Mortensen for sure. And then they've all done action films. Here's a really left field one for you. David Duchovny.
All right, yeah.
Because you think of Fox Mulder, who's obsessed with all the conspiracy and the, all that bookish side of it. And then he's an FBI agent. He moves through all that.
Yeah.
Tonally, it's not exactly the same, but we have no problem sort of buying him for what he is and
I quite like that.
those two lives.
Yeah.
So
Good
so
shout.
Russell Crowe is your Hollywood version, but actually David Duchovny might be the one.
Yeah. I mean, he would never have been cast in this.
No.
But yeah, I quite like it. Good call. Where do you want to go next?
Audrey Tattoo is Sophie Neveu.
Cool. Yeah, I've got a few options. No, I've not just Googled French actresses. How rude.
Well, I mean, I always try to keep it the same nationality, so we've likely got a very similar list.
Yeah, I did do that.
Yeah.
Okay, go on then. What are you thinking?
So, the first one, Ava Green.
Oh, I didn't go Ava Green.
Now, the problem with Ava Green, you were saying Audrey Tattoo is just a bit like...
young.
No, it's not. It's like, what's going on here sort of thing. Ava Green would be like, I fucking know what's going on, don't you worry about it. The problem with Ava Green is she's just a bit too much that way. She's a bit too sort of forceful, sexy almost as well. So I'm not sure about that. Who have you got on your list?
So the first one that I thought of was Marion Cotillard.
That's my second one.
Yeah. And I was like, she definitely can do the strength thing. She's French. That would work. The other one that popped up in my head was Sophie Marceau.
Yeah, I think she's a bit too much in the Ava Green mould, Sophie Marceau.
Maybe.
I think she's just too sexy is the wrong way of putting it, because that implies that I don't think Marion Cotillard is...
There's a word that I'm reaching for that I can't come up with. Sultry. That's the word
That's a
I'm
good
looking
word.
for. Sultry.
Yeah. They're both... Her and Ava are too much of that. Whereas Marion Cotillard, I think, straddles nicely the competent... Steady on. The competent side of things, but also that more sort of vulnerable and... Because she's quite young in the book as well, as I say. Lost sort of soul.
I've got one other potential.
Oh, go on.
Julie Delpy.
Oh, yeah.
I think I quite like that one.
I don't know. I think she's too whimsical again. Not as whimsical as
I don't think she
Tattoo.
has to be whimsical though. I think she could do the hard-assed kind of, not hard-assed, but like firm.
She's got a bit of spunk. But I haven't seen her in anything else besides the before.
No, I did add the colours, the red, white, and blue films that she's in 2 of those. So I need to watch those.
Okay.
I'll probably really like them. Being a big cinephile that I am.
I'd go Cotillard out of those.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That was what I was thinking. Silas.
Yes. It's hard to imagine how you could put sort of a scarier Silas out there. Although I did imagine Mads Mikkelsen as an albino.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
That would be pretty scary.
Mads Mikkelsen would be good.
But I actually went with Fassbender.
I struggle with Fassbender, right? I struggle.
You hate the Irish.
Is he Irish though?
He's got a weird accent at this point. I think he spent a lot of time in America.
It's like Irish, German, American, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
and you hate all of those, don't you?
Yeah. It's a list. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You've mentioned Fassbender for a couple of other ones.
Yeah, and
I don't know why.
We have to press stop, don't we, while you spit on the floor, and then
I struggle to fit him into things, and I don't know why. I don't know what it is about him.
He's in the latest Fincher. You'll love it.
He is, and that's one that's on Netflix.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had, and you'll hate this, Rami Malek.
I mean, he's weird,
unhinged.
Yeah,
kind
he's
of
way
thing.
too young, isn't he?
I mean, probably.
How old is he?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, this film's like 20 years old nearly at this point.
Fine, he would have been 12.
He'd have been 25.
He could do it.
Yeah, I mean, he probably could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fine.
But no,
weird
your
enough,
one's better.
yeah.
To be fair, Mads Mikkelsen is a good shout. That would be a good one.
Yeah. Okay.
Captain Fush. Not that you would recast him because he's pretty bang on, but
yeah, you're quite right. So last week we mentioned former Leeds United footballer Tony Yeboah.
Yes.
And in fact, a couple of episodes before that,
Eric Cantona,
we mentioned former Leeds United footballer Vinnie Jones. There is only one answer for this. It is former Leeds United footballer Eric Cantona, who, by the way, obviously wouldn't be good as Jean Reno. Unironically, I think would do a pretty good job as a gruff French cop.
You should, yeah. I mean, generally, Eric Cantona and more things wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah.
That sounds good. So I only went for slightly left field choice, and again, probably too young. But Omar Sy.
Oh, don't recognise
So he's French. He's very good in Intouchable and in the TV series Lupin as well, which on Netflix, very good.
Don't that mean
Recommended
hops?
to watch. Hmm?
Doesn't that mean hops?
Lupin.
Yeah.
I think it means wolf or something like that, but you know, it could be wrong. Not Lapin, that's rabbit.
Yeah, that's rabbit. Yeah.
But yeah, he's probably a bit too young, but I
recognise him. Yeah.
What about Sir Lee Teabing?
Wasn't he in? He's in a film we've done. Omar Sy.
Is he?
Yes.
Is he?
Yes, of course he is.
Is he?
I mean, I say of course he is.
I'm not sure.
Maybe he is. Yes.
Yeah, I don't think he's definitely not been mentioned on the podcast before.
Oh no, I'm thinking of Jurassic World, which is not something we've done.
Oh right, is he in Jurassic World?
Yeah,
the first one.
Yeah.
He
plays like Chris Pratt's sidekick, sort of when they're training the raptors.
There you go. Right, let's crack through this. Come on. So Lee Teabing. So instead of Sir Ian McKellen,
Christopher Plummer.
Oh yeah, that's a good shout. Yeah, I was like, you could go Patrick Stewart here, just because.
Yeah,
why not? I thought, like, what about Sir Kenneth Branagh? Get another Sir in there.
I thought about Branagh. I don't think he quite has the eccentricity that.
No, true. But left field casting, we're going Sirs. Let's go for a dame. Lee is a unisex name here.
Yeah.
Let's go for Helen Mirren.
Yeah, I mean, she could do the scheming part.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's the
I
first
like
time
Helen
we've done
Mirren.
it.
Yeah.
I've not done anywhere else. Did you?
No, me neither. No.
Did you know that Ricky Gervais has said in interviews that he was offered the role of Jean Remy?
Jesus.
That would have been odd.
That would have been terrible.
Okay, on to production. As we shove nuts into our mouths. It's a lovely beer. Carl just said, off pod, beer and nuts. That's good, isn't it? Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, fact. Okay, directed by Ron Howard. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole Ron Howard filmography. I feel like we've done this. I don't know why we've done this.
Beautiful Mind.
Oh, that would be it. Of course. That's what we did. I was like, we did Apollo 13 in the Oscars thing. I was like, we didn't go into loads of detail.
Beautiful Mind,
of course. But, excitingly, Carl, he's got an upcoming film called Sevenivs. I was like, is this a sequel to Sevenant? Sevenivs?
Oh, so
Sevenivs?
it's right, okay.
I don't know what it is. Sevenivs?
Okay.
Don't know what it is. Sounds weird.
Mm.
We've talked about a couple of Ron Howard movies before. Apollo 13.
Yep.
13 Lives we've mentioned as well.
Yeah.
Still not seen. I will watch
it.
that. Did a whole episode on Beautiful Mind.
Mm-hmm.
He's second to Scorsese now on the number of movies that we've covered on this podcast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because it's 2.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, directors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actors-wise, Cruise, I think, is...
Is it Cruise?
Well, we've done The Mummy and...
American Made.
Yeah. What else have we done multiple of? Oh, no, maybe Leo, actually.
Yeah, Leo, Departed, Blood Diamond.
Yeah.
Probably only 2 for them.
We should have these stats.
Yeah.
To
If
hand,
only we had a
really,
data section where we could dive into this sort of thing.
If only we had a database, which we, the Spoon database, which we saw the logo for the other day, and we're like, oh yeah,
we were going to do a database, weren't we?
Yeah. Anyway, he has a reputation, right, of being a safe pair of hands. Ron Howard.
Yeah.
He's come in and rescued a couple of films that I'm aware of that were not rescued, but the directors left because of creative differences, and he came in because he's just like, get Ron Howard in. He's gonna do a decent job.
Mm-hmm.
I think you maybe for this needed someone with perhaps a bit more flair or risk taking, and it being done quite so safely, I think really doesn't help make it interesting, I guess is the word I'm looking for there.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think as a general observation on the production side of it, rather than the actual storytelling direction, I think it's easy to take a lot of what he's doing and what he does for granted. Because
he knows what he's doing.
We talk about like Hollywood films, and you can be a bit snooty about those, and we are, certainly I am sometimes. But it brings a certain level of quality. It's not particularly adventurous, There are more sort of original, interesting directors out there. But I think it'd be wrong to then say, oh, well, then so it's not good. I don't think that's fair. I mean, just to digress a little bit, Hans Zimmer does the soundtrack for this.
He does. Yeah.
It's so far and away from his best work.
Yes.
Like it really is.
Yeah, it is.
But that doesn't mean...
I've been listening. Sorry, I really shouldn't eat hot honey nuts just before talking. Oh, my God. How unprofessional. Oh, wait. I'm on bread. So anyway, Hans Zimmer, yeah. So I've been listening to quite a lot of movie scores recently. I found it's excellent music to concentrate to. And actually, when you're writing notes on these things, brilliant. Just little background music.
It's interesting, yeah.
But the score from the outset gave me the impression that it was being very serious. It's very... somber's the wrong word, but just very serious material here, people.
Yeah.
And throughout the whole thing, as you're kind of saying, Hans Zimmer's done some absolute bangers.
Yeah, he
And
really
this
has.
just is not anywhere close to it.
He really has. Cocktail. Number 3 for Tom Cruise.
How long have you been Googling or searching on your phone?
I've just been looking through our old things on that. Yeah, cocktail.
Stay focused. On this
no, so the thing is,
eating nuts and choking on.
The thing is with Zimmer, it's a similar sort of point to the one I was making about Ron Howard, right? This is by far and away not his best work, and he's done some really great stuff. But what he's doing here is still perfectly fine for this film. It's perfectly in keeping, right? There aren't as many moments, of course, there aren't, where the soundtrack really elevates things. There's one or two, I think I've written one down. But it is like, it's fine, you know? And we're just in that mode of going like, we sit down here and we try to pick these things out, and the best you're going to get out of a film like this is you go, yeah, it's all right.
Scory, innit?
But that's not the same. That's not what you do when you sit down and watch a film. You sit down and you just take it for what it is, and you feel it. And if it works, it works. And I think this works well enough. You know, I'm not trying to say to you today, this is a really great film. I'm trying to say it's totally fine, and there are some angles of which you might like it. And so it's doing a good enough job, and I think that sums up Howard on this film.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm not going to slag off Ron Howard generally, but I think in this one he's probably fumbled it a little bit.
There's room for improvement. We can agree on that.
Yeah. Writers wise, so obviously based on a novel by Dan Brown, which we've already talked about. I mean, they were huge, those novels at the time, right? Charity shops are full of the things. I think they probably stopped taking them, right? Literally everyone in the world owned one or had borrowed one, which means Carl won't have read it. But you have actually read it. That's good. It's just like 50 Shades of Grey, right? But slightly more S&M in this one.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Some actual fucking spice rather than the shit they put in that. I don't know. I haven't read 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah. As I've said before, I've only read it over.
Yeah, and it comes back to the thing of like, don't be snoopy about it because you've got a load of people reading, which is a great thing in the generation of dwindling attention spans. Honestly, I'm not going to get beyond fine for Howard. I mean, think about Silas's introduction.
Stop eating nuts.
No. It's quite impactful, right? He's standing there, he's the self-flagellation.
That's not his introduction, is it?
Yeah, I think it might be.
Is it? I thought his introduction was when he's performing the killing of the guy in the opening scene.
Yep, that's his introduction.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then he goes and, whips himself. But his
introduction
was Paul Bettany whipping himself.
Yeah.
His
introduction to us as a character.
Sure.
Right? Quite impactful.
I'm so sorry, everyone. All you're hearing is Carl salivating over nuts.
It's not adventurous, right? But it's exactly how you sort of think it would look. And I mean, he's got the thing on his leg. I can't remember what you call it.
It's beginning to see, but I can't remember.
Yeah. And it zooms in so that we see the skin being pulled, and then we see a close-up of the blood dripping down the leg. And then it cuts out to a wide-angle shot of him, obviously completely naked, but you don't really see anything. It's lit from behind, it's shadowy and all the rest of it.
You know what was lit from behind and shot from behind?
Well,
hide his massive erection.
Oh, well, there you go.
Kinky bastard.
That's what it was. But it's completely how you would expect that scene to look. But it works. It's pretty decent.
That was actually really good, right? So the self-chastening scene or self-flagellation scene, as you say, done in one take, done with the whipping thing, lots of different camera angles. He was actually being whipped. They had an extra camera at its feet, and there's sort of the cramping in the real pain.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually genuinely well nicely done. Like it was a good part of it.
But there's similar stuff like that all the way through, right? So the Vitruvian Man, when we see Sonier on the floor, and the way you get the wide shot that pans above him, and then we go in close to some of the details of it. It's all straight down the line. It's all exactly the sort of thing you'd expect, and he's doing it, and it looks good. I just think it's slightly unfair to go. These things are like average.
No,
it's slightly unfair to go. Oh, so that's sort of it's crap, you know?
No, because both those things that you've pointed out are in the first 12 minutes of the film,
Hmm.
right?
You not find that it's a consistently well shot sort
I
of?
find it is consistent. I find it gets consistently dull for 2.5 hours. And speaking of the length, like 2 hours 29 minutes is too long for this. We talked about this being a popcorn book, popcorn novel, and actually, when it was big and huge, people were kind of saying like, "Oh, this is so." It's almost like cinematic. Like all you need to do is basically, you know, you could turn this into a screenplay straight away. Just off you go. But I just feel like it needs to shave off at least 20 minutes.
Yeah, but it's a different point that though, isn't it? So we don't lose any of the good stuff in the way that this film has been presented. You're now talking about pacing and plot. So that the way it's been shot and presented to us is, I think, pretty consistent throughout. Like whenever they're in a church or a building or whatever, it's not just like it puts right. So much of this movie is just two people talking.
Yep.
So much of this movie, right?
But not in a good way that I like.
Right. Okay. Well, we can come on to that. But my point is, they don't just put a camera on two people talking. They are constantly trying to. You'll get a wide shot. You'll get a camera on the floor looking up through some candles in the foreground, so we get some shadows on the back, so they can show the building off that they're in, because that's a big part of the Dan Brown novels
Or
about the
that they're
history.
not in.
Well, yeah. All right. So I thought the approach to how it looked was pretty consistent all the way through. I would say it's pretty well done. Yes, it's unadventurous. That's just Hollywood, and Ron Howard is pretty much the epitome of that sort of thing, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a solid Hollywood filmmaker that can churn out something that is relatively workable.
I think it was fine.
Usually.
The other thing, and I think we'll come back to some of your criticisms in plot, to be honest with you, and I don't entirely disagree. The other thing I didn't mind, which speaks to trying to interject some sort of colour into just those two people talking in a dark room, is those cutaways, flashbacks, or the reveals of what was going on. Again, it's not adventurous. It's not the most original approach to doing something like that. It's sort of what you'd expect to just try to keep things moving along. I think it works. I think it works okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think visually, I think they have a little bit of a problem that the plot doesn't really work as a piece of drama in a visual medium. Like it works very well in a book.
I don't agree. Like you just said that phrase. Anybody? I mean, I'm an idiot. I don't know what a screenplay is. It doesn't scream, from what my limited understanding, it doesn't scream screenplay to me.
No. It's an intellectual figuring out clues one after another after another. They do inject, a couple of set pieces, but there's not a lot. There's not a lot of big sort of set pieces, drama, action that's added to it. And I think actually they could have leaned more into that. So they've obviously got like the reversing car chase, but even that's a bit shit. It's a little bit like Jason Bourne, Bourne Identity light, and it doesn't feel, again, it's quite a few cuts in that, and it doesn't really feel like you're in there and ramping up tension in any way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they almost didn't really commit to it. They're like, we'll throw this in here because we kind of need a set piece. We'll do that.
I sort of wonder how much that comes back to the casting. Like how much of that is.
I think you're right.
How much of that is Hanks and Tattoo not quite selling the situation they're in? Because my favourite set piece in the film is when the plane lands and they're trying to escape the clutches of the British police in London. And the way that happens is Teabing, McKellen, completely styles that out. They completely bluff that. And then we've got a little cut, a flashback.
Show how it's done.
To show how they did it. And it's cool when they're jumping out on the move and all the rest of it. But it's actually, what sells that as a scene is McKellen's sort of bluster.
Yeah.
And I wonder if actually...
Because he's bigger, much bigger in terms of a character than
and I wonder if actually that's what's missing from some of the other chase and action scenes is Hanks and Tattoo not being quite right for the roles.
Yeah. No, I think I tend to agree with that. I think some of it does come down to how it is displayed as well, particularly the reversing car scene. Interestingly, for me, he adds, tried to go.
Yeah.
They tried to go all A Beautiful Mind. You remember when they're trying to figure out the clues and things like that.
No, it's like,
So it's like, man thinking.
Same
So
bag
it's
of tricks.
Let's just light up some letters, which don't seem to make any sort of sense. But hey, there we go.
I'll tell you why I didn't mind that in A Beautiful Mind, but it doesn't. I'll admit it doesn't work here. It's because in A Beautiful Mind there was nothing for us to figure out.
Yeah.
Because we weren't privy to the problem. That was just an illustration of his thinking.
Yeah.
Here,
He's seen patterns, right?
and if you read the book, you could have figured some of the stuff out. So it doesn't work as well here because they've taken you out of it.
Yeah. Again, on sort of how it looks, there's a couple of showdowns. By showdowns, I mean, the hero is up against the odds, whether it be Silas or the French butler guy, whether it's gun or knife point. Yeah. And they just really don't deliver in terms of drama. And I think it's just how they've been put together, because you could make that like a proper standoff. Like the one that springs to mind is they're in a church, obviously, and the butler comes in, like points the gun at T-Bing and hits off. It's kind of the start of that, the reveal of the double cross. But essentially, Silas disappears, and it's the butler against Langdon and the Audrey Tattoo character.
Sophie.
Yep, Sophie. And they're there, and then it's just like a very quiet bell sound and a pigeon that flies down. And just how it's shot, it's like, that's not even very distracting. And it was so undramatic. And it's just like, come on, like, do something that is like, for like ramping up the tension. And I think that's what I'm struggling with. I don't know. This. It's like, doesn't ramp up tension.
I don't know if it was quiet. I don't know if it was necessarily undistracting. It was definitely cliche. It's definitely, again, we talk about the Hollywood being unadventurous, like, fair enough. But yeah, I'll take your point.
You talked about the flashbacks. There are so many flashbacks. And not just flashbacks, like the weird hologrammy bits where they're kind of painting history onto as they're like walking around, appears in like a ghostly manner. And I guess that is where I think
you've got to do something.
I think, like I say, that's where they're trying to add something interesting. But again, it just doesn't feel like it works. Like it doesn't add anything to it. I don't go like, oh, I feel like I'm really there. Like particularly they're walking towards one of the many churches, and they're like painting in these sort of half like holographic-y, ghostly people and scaffolding and things like that around it. I'm just like, go on. Like,
yeah,
doesn't help anything.
I don't disagree, but you've got to do something, and maybe a more adventurous director goes in a way that works out better. Honestly, I still think it comes back to the delivery from Hanks and Tattoo, because I think about that scene where he's walking with Fash to initially survey Sonia's body. And he just turns around and he goes like, oh, the pyramid's there, the intersecting or whatever, and that symbols this. And then Fash goes, fascinating. Right? And he's like, I haven't got time for this shit. Or whatever. But like, Hanks is not selling that very well at all. Right?
He should be much more excited.
Yeah, he's not interesting in that moment. And I think, I would say, rather than the directorial approach of the flashbacks and how they transpire subtle, because you've got to do something visually, highlighting whatever, or the flashbacks. I think, to me, it's maybe more of Hanks not being into that enough. He's not got Langdon right enough to drag us in the same way that the book does drag you in, because it is a page turner, and you want to keep reading about all of these historical artifacts and what they mean and all the rest of it. I just don't think Hanks quite nails that. So for me, that's more on him than it is production, which I agree is very safe, but I don't think that's necessarily the problem with this film.
You talked about a lot of the film is two people talking. Yeah. Which it is, and I said, it's not really in the way I like. I think it's just because there's so much of that talking is just exposition, like and it's necessary exposition that they need to do, but it's all the time.
Yeah,
and it becomes quite like, okay, all right, and there's no room there for then actually any moments between the characters. There's very little
This is a
actual
problem.
interaction between those two.
This is a problem as the books wear on. So Angels and Demons is sort of very similar in tone. Inferno gets this way, and The Lost Symbol is very much this way. Brown gets the balance between storytelling and exposition wrong. So The Lost Symbol feels so much more like a history lesson than it does a story, a thriller, which is what it's supposed to be. And this is stuck quite faithfully to the book in terms of events and everything. So they are trying to fit a lot in, and you're obviously not going to fit all the exposition in from the book because it's quite a thick book, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been very ambitious with trying to go, well, if we're going to show all these, well, that's a lot of explaining we've got to get in. So that's why there's a lot of that going on.
And I think that's the job of a film, right? You've got to
Of an adaptation.
Yeah, you've got to take it and go, look, we can't just do this. This is what they learnt in, say, like the Harry Potter movies, right? The first two were pretty much, they followed literally everything. And after that, they started going, look, we understand.
Well, it's a film, not a book.
Yeah, it's a film. In order to work as a film, we need to just cut this out.
Yeah.
You need to forget this. You need to minimize this. You need to maximize this because this is what's going to work as a film.
Same thing I come back to a lot on this podcast. It's a film, not a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Are they better? Doesn't
TV
matter.
show-
They're different.
It would have worked as a TV show. You know, this sort of thing does work better as a TV show, I think, because you've got the time to...
Yeah.
You can build the character at the same time as doing the exposition, but over 8 hours rather than 2.5.
They're
In a
different
2.5 hour movie, you're putting this much exposition in at the expense of any character development. This is where it becomes... there's no interest. It's very dull, which is in complete contrast to the book, which is perhaps nonsensical and gibberish, but entertaining and a page turner, which I did not find this to be.
Yeah, they're totally different beasts. I don't disagree with what you're saying.
You got anything else on production?
No, not production.
Did you know, though, Carl, just to end on another, did you know, the French inspector's name, Bezu Fash, is a crude pun. In French, the words roughly translate to angry fucker.
Yeah, very good.
Alluding to Fash's short-tempered attitude.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. Do you want to play a game?
I'd love to play a game.
Oh, well, this should be quite a quick game, right? Because we are entering the world of blind rankings.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, I don't have a theme song. Because I didn't call it anything. It's a blind ranking game. And it's not submarines, so I'm sorry.
All right.
But this is going to be interesting because later we're going to do our top 3 Tom Hanks. But now you're going to do a blind ranking of 10 Tom Hanks.
Oh, my word.
Okay.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, well, is it a spoiler? That's the thing. Because
Well, yeah, if I
what
fuck
you
it
end
up-
up with could be
If I fuck it up.
bear nothing like
Right,
it.
go on. I'm all over it.
Okay. So, do we need to explain blind rankings?
We better had.
Okay. So, blind rankings, essentially, I'm going to feed Carl 10 movies starring Tom Hanks. He doesn't know what these are. He's got to rank them 1 to 10 blind as they come up. So, film A will come up. He'll have to give that a ranking of 1 to 10. And as it comes up. So, he could be left with something he absolutely hates, potentially. And that could be number 1 because that's the only thing he's left.
And you would think that wouldn't
Maybe.
matter because I have no control over what order the films come out in. But it will really, really upset me.
So we'll see. And we'll play a little game at the end where we can compare Carl's actual top 3 Tom Hanks to what came out in this. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you writing these down?
I'm going to add it to a yes.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. The first film is Big. So quite early Tom Hanks.
I'm going to put that at number 7.
7. Okay.
I think there are a lot of better ones out there and maybe fewer not so good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Apollo 13.
I don't love that. But is there 5 better on your list that might come up? Do I go 6? Do I go 5? 5 would leave me with 4 better. Let's go 5.
Game 5. Okay. I'm in charge of keeping you on track with the numbers as well when you forget. Okay, Forrest Gump.
Should have gone 6 with with Apollo 13. I'll go 4 with Forrest Gump.
4. Okay. Right, yeah. All right. Saving Private Ryan.
I'll go 3 with Saving Private Ryan.
Okay.
I've absolutely fucked it by putting Apollo 13 in at 5 here.
Toy Story.
I'll go 2 because I think, yeah, I'll go 2.
Okay. Castaway.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to put that 5. But I'm going to put that 6.
You're doing very well at remembering this, by the way. I'm quite impressed. Okay. Road to Perdition.
Which is number 3?
You've already used 3.
Oh, fuck.
You've got 1.
I've got 1, 8, and 9, and 10.
1, 8, 9, 10.
Oh, for God's sake. It's going to have to be 8. It's going to have to be 8. Fucking Apollo 13.
Asteroid City.
Oh, number 10.
Easy. Okay. This movie, The Da Vinci Code.
It'll have to be 9.
So I could really screw you over here, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go with what I originally said.
Okay, you're going to go with Catch Me If You Can, which goes in number 1. What was the other one?
I was going to go for either The Terminal or Turner and Hooch.
I mean, The Terminal, I wouldn't have lost sleep over.
Turner and Hooch.
It's not number 1, but I wouldn't have lost sleep over. Turner and Hooch, no. Okay, I tell you what.
That's not bad.
It's not terrible.
So you have Catch Me If You Can, Toy Story, Saving Private Ryan. That's not a bad top 3.
No, the thing is, the only real mistake I made, if I put Apollo 13 in 6,
you would have had Castaway 5.
I'd have been really comfortable with that list.
Yeah, so not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
This will make a return.
Yeah,
I think, and I'll be more harsh and screw you over.
I don't think you should be able to do that. I think you should have 10.
I had my 10.
I think you should have 10, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, I could just lie to you and tell you whatever I want.
You wouldn't do that. You're a man of integrity.
Sure. Okay, let's move on to the plot. So, Carl. Plot. Strong point of this?
It's actually, is the plot a strong point of this? Maybe it's a mixed bag. I don't think you're wrong with any of the stuff we've been sort of saying in production that overlaps.
Remember that
with some of the pace and exposition and all the rest of it. But now might be a good time to talk about sort of the different ways we get along with films before we have some fun with the plot of this. Because Conclave.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer to this, so maybe I'll just tell you and you can tell me if this is unfair.
Sure.
You like Conclave, even though it metamorphosizes into a Dan Brown story. I don't like Conclave because it metamorphosizes into a Dan Brown story.
Yeah. You
don't like this.
Because it doesn't metamorphosize into a Dan Brown story.
Maybe that's the thing. Whereas I am quite happy to sort of take this as what it is. Because I think for the most part, it's kind of fun enough and it moves through. What I'm interested in with this is, how didn't that change piss you off in Conclave? Because Conclave sets out to be one thing and then shits the bed, soils itself over what was otherwise a nice, tight, well-written, well-structured, tonally very different film.
I don't know. Maybe I was feeling generous, and the fact that it built up a lot of goodwill.
You're not alone in your like of Conclave,
yeah.
I should say.
But it built up enough goodwill for it that it was just like, oh, okay, so you fumbled the end. It happens more than you would like.
Because I kind of think, and this...
It didn't spoil the enjoyment, let's put it that way.
Yeah, and this is, I think, where we're different. So I think about, you were ever so upset or annoyed, choose your descriptor as you like, that I didn't get on very well with Gone Girl last week. And I had a similar problem with Gone Girl to that I had with Conclave.
You felt it got a bit silly.
Because it sets out to be one thing, and then for my money it soils itself and changes. And they go, well, you're not that, so now you're asking me to buy into something completely different. I think that's why we differ, because I come at films and I'm like, how's best to say this? Right, so I need to get along with the film. I need to feel a film, right? And I don't mean necessarily I have to understand everything. Yeah. Like a film says something to me, and I need to
not understand.
I need to understand where it's coming from.
Yes,
who are you?
You need to understand it.
Yeah, who are you? What
I get that.
What sort of person are you? What sort of film are you?
Yeah,
what
you want to pigeonhole it. I get it.
Yeah. Well, pigeonhole. I don't know about that. The answer could be complicated, and I could go, Yeah, you're complicated. That's
you in
fine.
the
You're,
complicated
you're
pigeonhole.
enigmatic. I'm going to, well, I mean, it's a long list. It's a big old, oh, fucking hell, the pigeonholes. Whereas I think you're much more likely to just go, I'm just going to take everything as it comes. And it'll work for me or it won't. I'll sort of decide after, almost. And I can't do that.
No, yeah. I mean, I try, and this isn't preconceptions because you're almost like in conceptions.
Yeah.
As you're going in, you're saying like, oh, okay, you're outlining this as this kind of film.
Yeah.
Okay, show me this kind of film.
So just bring it back to this film for just a sec. So you might have different reasons, as we're sort of already touched on, for why you don't like this film. But for me, I find it much easier to like films like this because I find them pretty totally consistent. So I go, yeah, what you are. I can sort of find enough. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. This is not tonally inconsistent.
No.
My problem is that the tone is fucking dull.
Yeah, okay.
And it is as simple as that largely. We've talked about the cast and how the two leads are potentially miscast, which doesn't help things.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about Howard and how he can direct, but the way he's directed this, I don't think it helps things. And when it comes to the plot, there is an overarching story in here, which is inherently quite interesting. Whenever you're going into the religious stuff and going against like the
which is all of the things I'm of course
and
pulling on to go, oh, this is kind of fun.
Yeah,
this is interesting. I kind of
and
you've got the nostalgia from the book. And
and it is kind of interesting for like 2 scenes, and then the in between stuff, it's just like it doesn't make that interesting enough. And I come back to the book where it's just like you found out something, you're like, oh, and then it drives you on to the next thing, and it drives on to the next thing. Whereas like in this, the man literally goes, I have to get to a library. I'm going to get on a bus.
Yeah.
And then I'll look on a phone, which, wow, does this date the film?
Yeah, it really does, doesn't it? Yeah, it really does.
And it's just like, oh, bus drama. That's interesting. Let's go to a church and stand there and look around a bit. That's interesting. Let's talk and explain things that the dumb French woman doesn't understand because she needs to say that she doesn't understand so that you could explain to the audience what's going on. And that's where it's weakest, where it's just like scene after scene after scene where there's nothing really happening because it's an intellectual following clues and solving those clues and talking about the clues. And it's not done in an interesting way. And there is a need for more, I think, set pieces. We're saying this
it's funny because
sold as that art history Indiana Jones, right? And if that's what it's going for, I think that's where it completely fails.
It's funny because I know where you're coming from. This isn't a great adaptation because actually they've not really tried to do much adapting. They've tried to put it too faithfully on screen as it is, right? I know where you come from. I would say it's almost, as a result of that, too fast. So I wasn't bored, right? I was actually frustrated at points because until Teabing shows up, when it settles more into Hollywood chase film with overblown villain, there isn't enough time spent on some of the puzzles and what have you to drag you in and to allow you to contemplate.
No, I think you're right.
So I didn't find this slow and boring at all. I thought it moved quite quickly. I find it a little bit frustrating. That would be my.
But I think to that, they could have toned down the number of puzzles and clues and stuff, and spent longer then on the interesting part of solving them, and made that an interesting bit and visual and stuff that you could kind of follow along, and people would have the potential to actually be able to solve it. You talk about your murder mysteries and stuff where it's like it's only a murder mystery if in theory they give you everything that you're able to actually solve. In this, they could have done that a lot better, right? And laid clues and things like that led to it. And I think what it essentially becomes is someone reading, someone explaining something to someone, and then going, "Wait a minute, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been looking at this all wrong. It's this." And epitomized with that, where he's opening I forget what it's called, but like the
Cryptex.
cryptex. And it's done in such a way you're just like, oh my god, it's just a guy kind of like talking at you whilst moving a thing, which doesn't make any sense. Why would he just be moving one or two? It's not solving each letter as he goes. Doesn't make any sense anyway. And then it's like, oh yeah, it's Apple, right? Cool. It's like we'd never like. Actually, well, to be fair, we might have got that one with Isaac Newton, I suppose. That's probably why they changed it to Apple.
Yeah, it had to be.
It's a bad example because they changed it from Apple to because it wasn't that in the book.
Yeah.
If I remember, I can't remember what it was in the book. But...
Yeah. No, like I don't disagree with that. I think we probably agree on the adaptation problems this has. For me, plot wise, like I say, I still think it moves along at a fair old pace because I think they're trying to cram loads in, and again, adaptation wise, too much. Agreed. And totally your observations on could it do less but slow down to bring the viewer in? Yes, it could. I think as is, for me, the headlines are it's hitting enough of the nostalgia angle of the book as a reader of the book, right? So I recognise everything that's going on. So yeah, they do that in the book. They do that in the book. I enjoyed the book. It's moving fast enough, and it's totally consistent. Like it doesn't soil itself, right? To bring it back to the thing of like it's not the greatest film in the world, but it is what it is, and it's tapping in enough to the nostalgia, and it's doing enough not wrong, which is a terrible way of phrasing it, to keep me on side, right? And I agree, like there are some sections of the movie which are more frustrating than others. I think, like I said earlier, until Teabing shows up, I think it kicks into a bit of a higher gear at that point, and you can take it more for a sort of, dare I say, generic Hollywood film at that point.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. He definitely kickstarts it, right? It gives it a bit of a kick up the arse at that point because it's already beginning to flag before it gets to that. I think it's only temporary though, and again, it kind of runs out of steam quite quickly after that. But yeah, you're exactly right. The Teabing part is great. Can we?
I think it gets fairly close to the end, but yeah. Let's do some ridiculous parts and then finish on.
Well, it's not ridiculous, but right. They make a massive deal about Langdon's fear of tight spaces, right?
Yeah.
On the plane, in the lift. They also explain it with another flashback in the well. Why does it matter?
Yeah, it doesn't really because it doesn't have to go into that many tight spaces.
It just has no bearing. On the film and the plot.
I tell you what, they also don't do in here, unless I missed it. They don't mention angels and demons.
No, they don't, because I think they actively went, we're going with this one, and then they basically retconned it to be angels and demons is after.
Oh, so I'd have to rewatch that, but yeah. Okay, fair enough.
So because in the book they make, I think there's a reference to essentially some of the driver behind setting up Langdon originally is sort of revenge for his act in Angels and Demons of screwing over the in the Vatican and stuff like that, which obviously they don't go into because that hasn't happened yet.
Because the thing is, that would have also helped the setup slightly for this when you go, what, is he an action hero as well? Yeah, well, he has had some experience actually.
Yeah.
But here in the film version, we're like...
Yeah, and if they've had... Well, I don't know if they had confidence. Maybe it wouldn't have been confidence in this. It surprised me actually to learn that they hadn't.
But everybody read it.
That's what I mean.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
But it surprised me to learn that they hadn't assumed this was going to be a success. I was like, how could it not be a success? They could have literally done anything.
Is that right? Because I'm sure I remember at the time he was signed up for like another 4 films or something.
I mean,
but you never know how those things come to fruition. Though they might sign everybody up like that.
But if that was the case, you can go one of two ways, right? You can go, okay, well, this is the first film, but we're going to do Angels and Demons, and we're going to allude to something which has happened in Angels and Demons, and we're going to set that, and the second film is going to be a prequel of it.
Yeah.
I think Hollywood and the way it works, they'll be like, no, it's too complicated. We can't have one film and then one film that's before that, and they think, oh, sorry, Indiana Jones, that's what they did.
Yeah. No, they've done it loads, but I take your point, yeah.
Yeah. So they just went, fuck it, we'll just move it around.
Yeah. My favourite thing early doors that was a bit silly was when they were like, Flash will build a case. He won't stop it. How?
Yeah.
What evidence does he have? How is he going to frame Langdon?
Yeah. He had it written down.
Yeah.
Find Langdon, that was it.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget he had a ringer to tell him that he had that bloke confess.
Oh, yeah.
they were like, "Oh, this somebody called Robert Langdon came to see me." I mean, I think he'd folded the questioning.
Yes.
So you got any evidence? Oh no.
Yeah, you know these guys who
Was that Ring of Roses? I'm not sure, but
no, I think you're right. Yeah. It was meant to be like, oh, he's broken the rules of confession.
Yeah.
And
But I put it to you, we didn't have a case. So Langdon needn't have worried.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, the funniest quote that Teabing comes out with when they're having it is where he goes, "Well, I must say, you two are anything but dull." I'm just like,
yeah.
are they anything but dull?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. They seem to be quite dull.
So Teabing doesn't just kick off the more traditional Hollywood chase thriller set piece driven section of the film. What's at stake is also much clearer after the encounter with Teabing.
Yeah.
And I know that some of that is slightly cartoonish in that you're essentially talking about bringing down and if not bringing down, then completely destabilising the Catholic Church, which is one of the most powerful institutions in the world. And it's a slightly cartoonish way of going, oh my God, if they find out the bloody bloodline of Christ and all that sort of thing. But it's there, and Teabing and that storyline bring that to the fore. I think the film is the better for that.
I agree, because I think up until that point, it's a little bit confused as to what.
Because you haven't had the chance to get sucked in the same way as you do in the book.
100%.
That's the difference.
Exactly, yeah. So it does need someone to properly spell out the stakes.
Yeah.
Right. My problem is the stakes are just like, all right.
No, you wouldn't care, but they would.
Yeah. But even at the end, right? What are the stakes of this thing of finding the truth? What happens?
Well, what would actually happen? Probably not very much, because nobody's going to suddenly go.
Well, what does happen?
So the Bible's all wrong then. Well, what does happen? They don't uncover the, in theory, irrefutable evidence that would throw the basis of the New Testament into chaos.
And what was the irrefutable evidence?
That Christ was not divine; he was
just
a man.
What was the evidence?
I don't know what the actual evidence. There was some sort of evidence that showed that Sophie was the blood descendant of Christ,
which was
don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know because, and this is a problem with Brown's stories, right? Is that he ends up either having to go for a stupid Hollywood ending like Angels and Demons, where literally something blows up in a helicopter and somebody's jumping from it. Or like in, I think Inferno, or is it Los Angeles? I forget which one. And this one, you have to back away from the ending because you've teased such a fantastical, history-changing piece of thing that doesn't exist. Yeah. And he ends up having to back away from it. And actually, when you're making a film, arguably you should just go Hollywood, mate.
Yeah,
uncover
100%.
It.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, because I think they changed the Angels and Demons ending from the book.
So slightly less Hollywood.
Yeah, weirdly. But this one, just like it needs a climax. It doesn't have a climax. I think that's what it kind of suffers. Just like,
well, and
then you have like 20 minutes of him just wandering around and kind of explaining everything.
Yeah,
you're just like,
yeah.
So nothing's happened. Nothing's changed.
Yeah,
it has had no impact.
I do sort of agree. Yeah, and actually, maybe that wouldn't have been as much of a problem if they didn't spend the last 15 minutes talking to Sophie and talking around about it's who you believe you are and all that. Fuck that. We don't care about Sophie like that.
Well, yeah, and I think that's a little bit of a problem with it as well, in that you don't really care. Like you're not invested with the Sophie character. So when she turns out to be
but she was never the
last descendant of Christ, you're just like, all right.
But she as an individual is never the story. It was just the fact that one exists.
I feel like they could have, if you become more invested in that character and then it's a reveal that actually it's her, whereas actually...
Well, maybe, yeah.
Then maybe that would have more effect.
Maybe. I'd have kind of liked it if they'd have gone, well, we've pulled away the reveal, so we'll end it there somehow, rather than then spending another few scenes on talking to this character we don't really care about. Okay.
Speaking of undramatic, though, Silas escaping the police. So he's obviously naked in the in the apartment, as he likes to be. Runs downstairs, kills some policemen, stand-up guy, and then he accidentally well, I say accidentally kills his Papa Priest, accidentally shoots his Papa Priest in the shoulder.
Yeah.
Lightly injures him, really. Freaks out, gets suicide by police.
Yeah.
Aaron Grosser is actually fine. He's just like, yeah, sorry, yeah, overreacted. But then it's just like, all right, that was an odd thing. It's just like, oh, I've killed my thing. You haven't killed him. You've killed yourself. And then so what?
I think he does end up dying then, doesn't he?
Who? Does he?
I think so, yeah.
Does he?
Yeah, I think he's supposed to take him instead at that point.
Why? He was fine. He was just going off into the ambulance. He was fine.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I'd have to reread the book for that, but yeah. I suppose at the point is at that point they're taking out the story, and I think at that point, do we know Teabing was teacher all along?
Yes. Yeah, we've been betrayed. It's
yeah,
just like, well,
that's right. You've been betrayed. Yeah.
The thing with that as well is we knew that Aaron Grosser wasn't the big bad because he was on the phone to him.
Yeah.
And we knew that Silas wasn't the big bad because he's been on the phone to at least these two other people. So it's like it's not exactly a twist that there is someone behind the whole thing.
Yeah, we've been betrayed. They just needed to get rid of them, I suppose, at that point. But yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I've not really got much else, to be fair, on that. Just at the end, it's slow and boring.
Fair enough.
Okay, any changes? So a section where each of us come up to... No, seriously, every single week I read the same thing and I get it wrong. A section where we each come up with up to 3 changes. Terribly written, but that's how it is. How many have you got, Carl?
I've got 2, 1 and 2 halves.
2?
Yeah, if you like.
Sure, so we'll just say 3.
Yeah, if you like.
All right, you like to go in numerical, so what's your number 1?
I sort of hinted at this earlier. The problem with these endings, Dan Brown endings, he makes such extraordinary claims. How do you make them stick? Often he walks it back, or you get the Hollywood endings. I think if you want to avoid walking it back, I think you let the bad guys win.
Ooh, like it.
I think let the bad guys win. Which, in terms of this story, which is something that threatened the Catholic Church and the power it holds, and everything they would do to protect that, in letting the bad guys win, vindicates the existence of what you said was out there. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like
bad guys always do win though because nothing changes.
They do kind of win. Yeah, but we have this soft sort of middle ground
like,
where they go,
we know,
we know, and you know, and they try and make it about her, you know, rather than something else. But I'd really lean into that. I think. So rather than them sort of finding out, you need to sort of go more into here are the lengths we will go to, and we'll crush you and all the rest of it. And
yeah, I mean, I think you're right. They could have made. I mean, I think already they were coming up with problems even getting this film to be shown in some countries, right?
Yes.
So fair enough. But if you made the Catholic Church to be even more despicable.
Yeah.
And heinous in what it was doing in order to cover it up. Again, it's just adding a little bit of, and this comes into my what is number 2, but I'll go here. Just injecting a bit more drama, a bit more wackiness to it, right? Almost lean into that Indiana Jones thing. We've talked about Indiana Jones where, like, if you've not seen them, because we said like you've watched the original trilogy or 4, and then you watch the 5th one, and you go, "This is a bit ridiculous.
Yeah,
what's all this?" And you watch them back, and go, "Oh no,
yeah,
they're all ridiculous."
Yeah,
you just kind of forget that they are ridiculous.
Yeah,
you almost need to add a little bit more. You almost need to take it further. Add the wackiness, add the more sinister thing, add it, make it bigger, bigger stunts, bigger badness, bigger stakes, whatever it may be. Just to make it a bit more interesting cinematically.
Yeah.
My second one was recast Hanks.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think you just need someone else in there, or you do it in a different way where Hanks as an actor is better suited.
Yeah.
So you just change the character a little bit.
Yeah.
And do it in that way, so you bring out the warmth and the everyman of Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
And again, as you say, you maybe partner him then with someone who's a bit more action oriented, and stuff that can maybe pull off some of these things.
Yeah, fair enough.
What was your second half? First half?
Yeah, so I'll do these together. So like, as is, if you take it as is, If you want to, because I'm talking about changing the ending of my first change, but leave it there. So if you want to capture more of what was good about the book, there's a couple of directions you can go. The first is, we've already touched on this, it works better as a series. There isn't a series of this, it is Young Land, and I think, like you said, is it Inferno? No, it can't be Inferno, it must be Lost Symbol, because Inferno's a film. The missus and I sat down and watched a couple of episodes of that. It was fine, for reasons we never carried it on. It was fine. But it does work better because you get a slower burn on the puzzle side of things. Here we can have a deeper exploration about shadowy politics of the church.
You can explain the background of the character Langdon, what motivates him.
You can get all of that,
yeah.
And also, of course, here we've got this. This has all been orchestrated by the teacher. We can have more of that rather than just basically a couple of phone calls early doors and then nothing until Teabing shows up.
Yeah. And then the French butler's like, oh, I convinced him I
was the teacher. Yeah.
All right.
Well, why wouldn't he believe you? I mean, he's never met you.
Spoken to you on the phone, though.
Yes. So they've had to go more Hollywood and simple here because it's a film. They've only got a couple of hours, 2-3 hours. So yeah, it works better as a series. The second one is if you're going to sort of keep it as this film, and I think you've already touched on this. There are too many big characters in the book to also be giving screen time to the lesser characters. So I'm right. Langdon and Sophie, non-negotiables.
Obviously,
we need
got
that.
to be in it. Yep.
We need Silas, but we don't need a Ring of Rosa.
No, and that was one of my points. I didn't really raise anything, but I've written it down. It's just like, what is the point of him?
Yeah,
he doesn't actually serve a purpose.
Because he's alluding to the more direct link to the Catholic Church. Because he's the respectable one who's in the hierarchy rather than the foot soldier.
But they even give Silas,
but we don't need
a backstory to link him to it as well. And you're just like, we don't need to. You just need to know that he's a minion of him.
We don't need it. We need Fash, and we need more of Fash, but we don't need his lieutenant. We just need the bull in the china shop that is Fash chasing everyone down. And we don't need the lieutenant who actually does most of the police work on the ground, and all the rest of it. And of course, we need teacher. We haven't got time for lieutenant. We haven't got time for Rosa. We also don't have time, as much as I enjoyed him, for the chauffeur.
No.
We just need Teabing as that
needs to be a double cross at some point.
Main antagonist who appears and then, of course, crosses at some point. That was like an extra double cross. And I sort of agree that you need to give more screen time to the main characters and less of the other ones, which also means you'll have to cut out some of the set pieces or streamline some sections so that you can work your way through those properly rather than trying to hit every single beat in the book.
Yeah, and I think my third one is to make it shorter, but it doesn't necessarily have to be shorter.
I don't need it shorter, yeah.
I've got no problem with the 2.5-hour film, as I proved last week with Gone Girl, right? It's the fact that it was, and as to your point, it was kind of one pace throughout to a degree. Like, it was consistent throughout.
Yeah.
There was no ups and downs and thing. There was one moment where it piqued my interest, which is when Teabing came in. But beyond that, I felt like this story, they could have made it shorter.
Yeah. We're just coming at this from different ends because I don't think it was too long for this story. I thought it was frustrating for this story because they couldn't give it enough detail. But we both agree that the happy ground is actually to make it shorter and do less.
Yeah. I
mean, you wouldn't necessarily need to make it short, but I guess the point is do less.
Do less in more detail with the same length.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the data section. We start off, as we always do with our ratings. So we've got the IMDb rating of 6.6. Letterboxd, slightly lower, 3.1. Metascore 46, so critics didn't like it as much as the audience, which probably reflective of the books as well. Definitely more of a crowd pleaser than a critic pleaser, which you'd expect.
Yeah.
Nominations, no. Nothing of note. Not even Razzies or anything that I could see.
No, it's not offensive enough for that.
No, exactly. Best scene, Carl?
It's the plane escape. I liked the little flashback, and I thought that was, reasonably smart as they come in this film. And then it's just the way they all style it out. I think it's very slick.
Fair enough. Mine was again with Teabing, but Last Supper, that whole scene where they're
Mhm.
in the painting and kind of like he's bringing up things and
Yeah.
explaining bits. That's what I loved about the book.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And
Yeah.
you have the first and probably only proper back and forth between two characters kind of sparring
Yeah.
with Langdon and
Yeah, yeah.
Teabing. You don't get enough of that throughout the rest of it.
Yeah.
You don't get it with the policeman and Langdon. You don't get it with any other characters either. And I think that shows. And so, yeah, that was my favourite. Best quote.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple which I ended up sort of trying to search for one and then not being quite happy with any of them. There are a couple where Dan Brown's reaching for a really sort of grandiose observation on...
Poignancy.
Yeah, poignancy, that's the word. On sort of how, we read history so we don't keep killing each other, which should be true, but isn't.
It's not,
because we keep repeating history, keep ignoring history. There's others about, is this man, oh God, how many people have been killed in this? I was sort of searching for those. I was like, yeah, I mean, some of those are okay.
It's all been done before as well.
Exactly, yeah. So I ended up going for one of the funnier ones, which was Teabing. And it's when he gets pulled off the players, like, oh, that old cannabis charge caught up with me finally.
That's a good line. Yeah, it's a good line. Yeah. Again, I've kept with on brand. I've gone with penises. So
yeah, this is my other shortlisted one.
So the more penises you have, the higher your rank. Boys will be boys.
Yeah.
And it's very on brand for the Teabing character and Ian McKellen delivers it very, very nicely. The secondary one was the French can't be trusted.
Yeah, as he sits next to his French chauffeur.
Yeah. Favorite character?
Oh, it's Teabing. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Teabing, but actually I went for Silas because actually as a character and as a kind of villainous thing, he's threatening. He ticks all the boxes that's needed for that character.
He's good. I mean, I liked Remy as well, although in my version of the film he doesn't exist. But I liked him too. But yeah, no, I agree. Silas is a good character.
I can't remember my thinking, but I've written in my notes, Silas, the dumb fuck. I think it's because he got fooled by the fact that it was the teacher, just some French guy, and they think, oh, right, okay. And the fact that he thought he killed someone by shooting him in the shoulder.
In theory, it wouldn't have mattered, because what would he have done at that point?
Yeah,
he's killing in the name of the Lord, essentially. I mean, that's what he believes.
Yeah.
He's not going to suddenly go on some vengeance, is he?
He's easily led, isn't he? Bless him.
Well, yeah, but yeah. Would he be easily riled there? Maybe.
Yeah. Carl, you teased a hybrid.
Yes. Not for this film.
No, you didn't actually. You just said you've been writing up hybrids. I forgot. I went with what I originally heard rather than what you said.
Right. You do that a lot, I think.
Yeah, it happens. So have you got a hybrid for this film?
Not for this film.
No, I struggled.
The other thing I've been doing with the hybrids is I've written them all up, and I still need to put this in a format that we can actually share. But I do think we've actually got a couple of steps in the hybrids.
Okay, it's a start.
So obviously we've got lots going on, but in terms of building this pyramid, we've got Ferris Bueller's Day Off and The Hangover becomes Superbad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've already got Superbad.
And then we can also take that on to go, we've got Superbad and Shoot 'em Up becomes Kick-Ass.
Mm-hmm.
So what we need next is which two films make up Kick-Ass. That's what we need to think about.
Make up Kick-Ass?
Make up Shoot 'em Up.
Yeah.
Will they add it that? Probably not. So, likewise, we've got Pulp Fiction and Burn After Reading becomes The Nice Guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've also got The Nice Guys and American Made becomes War Dogs. So what we need next is which two films become American Made.
Yeah.
So we have got a bit of progress on the pyramid.
Didn't we try? We did make an attempt at American Made already, because when we covered American Made, we came up with an attempt. It was like Below and something else, or...
Oh, shit, you're quite right. Oh, this is very exciting. This is live pyramid building. We've got Forrest Gump and Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah, there we go.
Becomes American Made.
Yeah.
So we have got a triangle. Oh, my word. Is that the tip? Is that the base? We don't know.
Is it?
But yeah, so need to get that out on the...
One of your best lines ever.
Because right, clip that up. We've got this now. I need to find a way of putting this in a presentable format. We need to get it on the socials, but we're making some progress on the pyramid.
So have you got a new one to add?
There's a new one. So It might seem like this doesn't help at this point, but maybe it'll come in and fit in a different
exactly.
layer later on.
Yeah,
we don't
never
know. Let's see if you can guess again.
I mean, I never can, but go for
No,
it.
you have. You've guessed a couple right. The Goonies
Okay.
and The Game.
Okay.
Guess you what?
Oh, okay. So weird, made up, like, you don't know what's real, what's fake. Goonies, so we're talking about kids and
Adventure.
Kids, but you don't know what's going on with it, whether it's true or fake. Hook!
Not bad.
Hmm.
We're not, a million miles off the right sort of
No, I don't know. Go on.
Jumanji. The
Oh,
Goonies
yeah,
and The
yeah.
Game gets you Jumanji. I mean,
Yeah.
it's literally a game. There's lives at stake. You've got the kids, the adventure, you don't know what's real, who's in on it, who's not. Oh, it's all there.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah.
There we go.
So what we've got to now come up with what makes the
who
game.
knows? Look,
What makes the game and what makes the Goonies.
Yeah. Well, maybe this again. Is this the base or is this the tip? We don't know. We don't know.
All right, good stuff. That's like I've got nothing for you today.
That's fine.
That's a
That's
good start. Right, we are going for top 3 Tom Hanks. Now, as we know, we've already done your blind ranking, which revealed your top 3 Tom Hanks in that game. So let's see what we've got. So let's talk Tom Hanks more generally.
I can tell you it's not the same. All right. Hanks, we've already touched on. He's a star, hell of a filmography.
Yeah, and this isn't coming anywhere near his top 3. Let's agree on that.
We agree on that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start off with some gaps, right? So things I've not seen Tom Hanks films, and all of them I don't care. So I've not seen Pinocchio.
Me neither.
News of the World, don't care.
No, not seen that.
Greyhound.
Yes. Oh, it's good that.
Yeah, is it a submarine film?
Yeah, there is a submarine in it. Yeah. I mean, Tom Hanks is on the destroyer that's trying to hunt the submarine.
Okay, but still,
submarine film. Yeah.
So that's worth watching.
Yes. That's
okay, I'll remove the meh then if that's worth watching. The Post.
I've seen that. Yeah.
See, I feel like I have actually seen that, and I've just forgotten that I have seen it.
A lot of people like that. Is that a Spielberg one? Post. A lot of people like that. I thought that was.
I feel like it was around COVID.
Very meh. Very meh.
And Inferno, I've not seen either.
I can't remember Inferno.
Yeah. Any gaps from you that you want to call out that you can remember?
Gaps.
Well, it doesn't matter if you haven't got them.
No, I don't think so.
Well, I just missed out because there's a lot. Obviously, Tom Hanks has a lot of films.
There's a lot.
This is very difficult.
Look, I like this film. I like Angel Demons. I probably like Angels and Demons a little bit more, to be honest with you.
Oh, interesting.
I think that's maybe a bit of a simpler story, so I think that transfers over to a movie. Maybe
that's got Ewan McGregor in it.
Ewan McGregor, yeah. And Stellan Skarsgård as well. We've done on this podcast Polar Express. I quite like You've Got Mail. For what that is. The Terminal we mentioned, don't mind that. The big ones that have missed out. The Greyhound was on my just missed out list. I think that's good. The big ones that just missed out. Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Some of the best World War II set pieces ever committed to film. It's a really good film. Do I love the story overall? No, I don't.
Same.
Yeah. Forrest Gump.
Yeah, same.
Very good. Doesn't quite make the cut.
I really do like Forrest Gump. It was close. It was close.
It's good. Castaway.
Yeah, same.
Good. Doesn't quite make the cut.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Green Mile, not seen in a while, but I remember thinking that was pretty decent.
Ooh.
Yeah, doesn't make the cut. And that's it. That leaves my top 3.
Yeah. So I mean, a couple that I haven't made mine. So Philadelphia, do really like that.
Not seen it.
Again, I've got kind of a weakness for The Terminal a little bit. It's not great, but it's fine.
People really love to shit on that film, though.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Yeah, as like a popcorn film, just sit down and I think it is okay.
All right, let's get to our top 3s. Okay, so what's your number 3, Carl?
Wouldn't this have been great if I'd put him in order?
I mean, literally is the purpose of this.
Okay, number 3, I know. My number 3 is Road to Perdition.
Interesting. So, I think I've massively underrated this potentially when I first watched it. I've not watched it since I saw it.
Road to Perdition.
Yeah, I was very much like, Sam Mendes, right? Tom Hanks, Jude Law.
Yeah, slow burn. I think Tom Hanks. He's playing a gangster, but it's also quite a touching father-son sort of thing, which Tom Hanks is great.
Paul Newman in, right?
Paul Newman, fantastic villain. Jude Law, great villain. And there's all all sorts of other bits going on around him. Daniel Craig's got a good turn in there.
Yeah, definitely going to have to rewatch that
yeah.
and see if it's a reassessment or if it's going to appear on the podcast.
Maybe. I love the way it looks, so I'd love an excuse to rewatch it. So, yeah.
So my number 3 is Catch Me If You Can, which I know was number 1 on your...
it was number 1 on my blind ranking, yeah.
So I like Catch Me If You Can. Again, probably could do with the rewatch, but it's the complete opposite of this. It's light, it's entertaining, it's a proper little... what's the word?
Jaunt adventure.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. I was going to say adventure, but yeah, adventure. Yeah. So yeah, Catch Me If You Can.
Which means your number 2 must be Green Mile.
Yes. Which means your number 2 is Apollo 13.
No, Apollo 13's not.
Didn't even make this. Oh, come on. Okay, so your number 2, Toy Story.
It is. So did you leave Toy Story in your honourable mentions?
No, I've done it again.
You've forgotten Toy Story exists, have
I've
you?
done this before.
Yeah. So Apollo 13 is your number 1.
Yeah.
But you forgot about Toy Story.
I have.
So where does Toy Story fit in?
I'm going to say I'm discounting it because it's a voice performance.
So it made it into the blind ranking game. But...
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I did just completely overlook that one. Let's ignore it.
I mean, arguably, you entertain Toy Story. You've got to think about Toy Story 2.
I mean,
my God, that's a good film.
I mean, Toy Story and Toy Story 2 are the best, but even Toy Story 4, I think, made me cry.
I can't remember much of that one, to be honest. But yeah, 1 to 3 is superb. But you're just cheating, yeah?
Let's just say selectively picking my criteria.
Good, yeah.
Yeah. So your number 2 is?
Toy Story, and then number 1 is Catch Me If You Can, yeah.
Oh, so your number... In the blind rankings, you had number 1, Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah.
So you were happy with that?
Yeah. You
had number 2, Toy Story.
Yeah.
And you had number 3, Saving Private Ryan. So it was just...
What the fuck up was I hadn't left myself enough room at the top because I put...
You were in road to position 8.
Yeah, because by that point I'd already filled up the top. Because I'd put Apollo 13 too high.
So you could have gone road to position 1.
That Apollo 13 should have gone in at number 6... which meant I'd have put Saving Private Ryan in at number 5.
Which means you would have had 3 available. Oh, that would have been good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Or you would have completed.
What did I have at number 4?
You had Forrest Gump.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Maybe I would have changed Forrest Gump and Saving Private Ryan around at 4 and 5. I don't know.
It's the thing about blind rankings, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Blind.
So I got very close with that. It was my one mistake, and I made that early. Anyway, there we go.
Good stuff. All right. So I had a few definitely nots on here because obviously I've got to get in the digs to here where I can.
Yeah,
it's kind of my thing. So definitely not here. Asteroid City, I think we both agreed. Definitely not one of Tanks.
We should call it that.
Yeah. Tanks.
It'd be Thanks, really, wouldn't it?
Thanks.
Yeah.
I like that as well.
Yeah.
Polar Express, obviously, we've been over that in my dislike for it. And then A Road to Perdition, I called out as probably being underrated. So yeah.
We should do that on the podcast. Let's let that be how you rewatch it. Oh, you're calling it out as underrated?
No, I've probably underrated.
Oh, you probably underrated.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not underrated.
Let's pretend you haven't, and let's explore if you have.
We can certainly do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
I definitely remember not loving it at the time.
Oh, there we go. We're in. Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's move on to our Movie the Needle Classics collection. So just a reminder, we need these movies to stand the test of time. Have the stamina. We need broad appeal. It needs to have girth. And it needs penetration, have those memorable characters, lines, and scenes. And most importantly, we both need to have seen it. Which, from the Jaws episode, which is just like, great examples. We both haven't seen some of them. Yeah. It could potentially be on there, but sorry. Yeah. These are those gaps that KJ was talking about, so apologies here for that. I'm not going to... The list is getting too long to read through now.
Yeah, fair enough.
The list is pretty much up to date on... Actually, will be up to date. As you are listening to this, it'll be up to date on Letterboxd. So do check that out, like it, add your comments on there, add your comments on their socials, let us know what shouldn't be in there, suggestions. We love to hear them. Yeah, have we got any submissions, external submissions?
No,
I covered a few.
Our one source of submissions is currently away on his belated honeymoon. So,
well, enjoy.
Yeah.
You'll be back by the time you listen to this. Hope you enjoyed.
Yeah.
Now submit some more.
He's enjoying. I'm sure that won't have changed between now and
then. Good. Are there any Tom Hanks ones we want to submit here?
Oh, that's a good shout. Oh Christ. I mean, have we done Toy Story?
We have done Toy Story already. Yeah. Toy Story's on there.
I think you're making cases. The one that jumps out to me are Saving Private Ryan and Forrest Gump.
Yeah, I put Apollo 13 as well on the potential ones for it. I know you're less hot on that one. I mean, Forrest Gump, I think probably in terms, it has the broadest appeal. It has the penetration in terms of memorable characters, the lines and things like that. You know, the run Forrest run. Life is like a box of chocolates. Like it's in there. It's stood the test of time. Yeah, it's from the mid-90s, 94, I think.
Yeah.
From that. So I think, potentially that's maybe even the stronger one. Saving Private Ryan, undoubtedly better thought of, I think, in terms of the serious film people. But for me, I'm with you. I think you described it really, really well. Like it's got potentially the best war kind of scene and setup as it is. But in terms of the actual story and things like that, it's kind of left me not cold, but just like it just doesn't resonate so much.
Yeah, well, let's put Forrest Gump in, and we'll argue about those others some other dates.
Oh, good. Forrest Gump is controversial because people hate that film.
Yeah, but it is massive box office success. Like you say, broad appeal. Everybody still
and we both like it. Importantly,
yeah, everybody still thinks Forrest Gump. Some of the lines, "Life's like a box of chocolates," all the rest of it. There's a chain of Bubba Gump shrimp.
There is
the Bubba Shrimp restaurants. Or whatever.
That's true.
I've not had any shrimp in him. I've had a beer in one.
Sure.
It was in Cancun Airport, so we weren't eating, but we were drinking. By God, we were drinking.
6 a.m. Okay, are there any other? What are your submissions or your submission?
I was going to go with a controversial one this week, but then I thought, no, I'm going to go with an older one, which is kind of like kind of boring, right? Because we could list older films that sort of everybody thinks are classics for a long time. The more interesting angle with the classics things for me is how old does something need to be? How long does it have to have hung around before we consider it a classic?
Well, I think that the latest that we've got is around 2000, 2001 at the minute.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to push the envelope that way and see where it sort of breaks down if there's cut off. But I'm not doing that today because I'm going with a James Bond film.
Oh.
And I don't think there'll be much argument here. It is Goldfinger.
Yeah.
It is about as iconic as James Bond films come.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the few only automatic ones, I would say, of the James Bond.
Yeah.
And having rewatched fairly recently as well for our James Bond episode, which you can find back on our feed. If you like a bit of James Bond, go back there.
A pro.
But yeah.
Oh, what an amateur. What an amateur. What's this?
I've joked on nothing. Oh, I'm sorry.
Where's your gag reflex, man?
Good Lord. Well, yeah, well, indeed. But yeah, I'd say Goldfinger for sure. The best James Bond film.
Ooh.
I would go as far as to say.
Listen back to the James Bond episode to refute that claim.
Wait, did I refute it?
No, I refuted it.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I mean, I might have refuted it. Who knows?
Yeah. Did I refute it? I don't really know.
It's very good, though.
Examine that claim. Let's go with that.
So, I'm just checking through the list. Check we haven't already got this on. Nope. So, I'm going pretty safe. Your favourite Christmas film and everyone else's?
Home Alone 2.
Die Hard.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Not a Christmas film.
For fuck's sake.
But in terms of it being a classic.
Of course.
Definitely a classic, right?
Of course, Die Hard is on.
Yeah, that's on. All right, good stuff. So yeah, people, submit your options as well. Your options, your thoughts, your submissions. That's the
Suggestions,
word.
submissions.
Jesus. Submit your submissions.
You don't submit submissions.
Jesus
Suggestions.
What am I trying to say here?
It's that 8% beer, mate.
Send your submissions. It was 8%. Did not taste like 8%.
No, it's good.
That was smooth as.
Yeah.
Cool. I've got a few other fairly safe bets coming in future weeks as well for this. All right. We stop there. Okay, let's finish things off with This Is Why You're Wrong. So we get to have a closing statement from each of us and we find out whether we've moved the needle. So, Carl, do you want to go first or second?
Okay, first, please.
Off you go.
Obviously not without its issues. And actually, we largely agree on the issues of the film, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I would fall back, as I often do with these sorts of films, on the whole tone thing, and I think it doesn't ask us to take it too seriously. I think that I think you are wrong on the pacing of it. I think it moves fast. I think it's possibly too fast, and we agree on the adaptation problems that it has. I think that if you're a fan of the book, which I know you are, there's enough to get into this. And I think, which is obviously really, really faint praise, it doesn't do enough to turn you away from that. And I think there's enough, especially in the middle section and just before the very end, when Teabing shows up to give it a decent Hollywood chase movie feel. I do wonder actually how non-book readers find this.
Yeah, me too.
I wonder which way they go, whether it is boring because they don't have the association with the book, or whether they can totally accept it as a fast-moving Hollywood pacing and they don't get the same frustrations.
Former, to be honest. I think reading the book gives it a little bit more to it, because at least you go like, oh, what was that?
But then they also wouldn't have any of the problems with Langdon and stuff. So interesting. I don't know. I think it does. I think it does enough. I think it's not a great film. I think it's fun enough.
So I mean, this for me was a very long 149 minutes. I was prepared for entertaining garbage. But what I got was a boring Tom Hanks performance, which possibly the first time I've ever said that.
Fair.
I think it was too serious. You say it didn't take itself too serious. I think it did take itself a bit too seriously, starting from the score, from the get-go. I think it was a bit too serious. It's actually quite unmemorable. There's very few memorable parts of it beyond the couple of scenes that we kind of have called out there. And I think for what it is, in its format that it is, it's too long, it's too boring. It's not enough fun. And although I can get on board with the church bashing, it's not enough to make me like it.
Bashing of the bishop.
Indeed.
Hey?
So, Carl, the important question, has your needle been moved?
It's a bit of a tough one, this. I agree with nearly everything you've said. It's not a great film. I think you're right in something you've just said there, which is just, there's not very many memorable bits. I think I'm going to stay at I like it, whilst acknowledging that nearly all of the flaws you highlighted there. But I think
you like it in spite of all of them.
I think you've changed my rewatchability.
Okay.
I think is what you've done.
Okay, well that counts. Well, yeah, I'll take that as a semi-win. There we go. Yeah, so you've not moved my needle. I still struggle to see. I am still quite surprised you like it, to be honest, because I was getting on before I rewatched. I was like, look, the angle Carl's going to come up here is he loves his adventure movies, he loves his treasure trails, he loves his that sort of thing. I just didn't feel that they did enough of that.
It's consistent though, isn't it, mate? It doesn't do enough wrong.
That's it.
It doesn't do enough wrong.
Hasn't offended you enough.
Yeah, that's it. It hasn't angered me in any way.
Oh, there we go. That's its flaw. Good stuff. What would your rating be, Carl?
2 stars.
I mean, mine's the same. It's a 2-star. You know, it's not awful. Like it's fair. Like some of it is competent enough.
Yeah, I know they're linked because it's impossible not for them to be linked. How much you like something, how good you think something is. But I do try to separate them, and it's not a great film. 2 stars.
Yeah, I'm giving it more points for the fact that it's there's some competence there, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't quite go down to the 1.5 for the Jaws and Jaws of Revenge, etc. Rewatchability then, Carl. So you said
I previously had this as a yes, right? I'm going to move it down to a meh because, to go like, oh yeah, like it's totally non-offensive and I quite enjoy it. There's not enough there for you to go, I'm gonna bang that on again next week.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Not really. When you sort of get through it and you start to talk about it, you go like, but would I actually watch it again soon? No, probably not.
Yeah, there's just not enough standout scenes of just like, oh, there's a good bit coming up. It's just there's not enough of that. And even as I said, Emma was watching it on as I was sort of making these notes a little bit, and I was still just watching it, going like, couldn't even tell you that it was a good bit coming. It's still not doing it for me. So I put a no for rewatchability.
Yeah.
Okay, Carl, you got anything else you want to cover today?
Nope.
All right, then that's all we've got. So if we move the needle for you this week, or even if we didn't, please do rate us, follow, subscribe, and give us a 5-star review wherever you are listening. It really does flagellate the algorithm and get us out there to a larger, more conspiratory audience. Our Bluesky, Instagram, and Twitter is MTN Movie Pod. Our YouTube channel is at Movie the Needle, and you can also find our page on Facebook and some occasional blind ranking TikToks at movie.the.needle. All details are in the show description, so please do follow and comment wherever you are. So for me and Carl, it's goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hold on a second. Carl has 4 letters. A 4-sided shape is a square. The square root of 49 is 7. There's a 7 and it's a 7, which is about deadly scenes, which means, oh my God, I have to get to a pub. Join us next week as we discuss 2001: A Space Odyssey and decide whether we consider it to be overrated. And we see if we can move the needle of public opinion. Goodbye.